NFL. Well, just the playoff teams. It's interesting. They have Tampa Bay coming out of the NFC South. A lot of people do.
Good morning. Good morning. Good morning.
You know, I can't. Oh, that's the end of the sentence. I just can't.
Good morning.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome in. The Rob Brown Show is on your radio. The foremost electrifying hours of sports talk entertainment that you will find anywhere at any time starts right now. Happy Tuesday morning, my dudes and dudettes. I hope all is well and right in your world. My name, of course, is Rob Brown. Over on the other side of the metaphorical glasses, I am the guy in charge of this program and every program that you've ever enjoyed on the radio. He, of course, is the great one, Lonzo, a.k.a. The Variable, is in the house as well. Good show lined up for you today. We've got a lot of college football. The AP Top 25 came out yesterday. I like the guy at the end. I've never really listened to that. The guy at the end goes, "The hell is wrong with you?"
Me either. I just now noticed that too. We're usually talking over it, so I didn't. Yeah.
The hell is wrong with you? That's really funny. I've never caught that before. Many things, generic guy in a free royalty-free clip that we play. Many things.
Well, actually, it's from our company, so that means some guy actually stood in the back of the room and yelled that when they put it together.
Which is why that guy decided to yell, "The hell is wrong with you?" Really funny. AP Top 25 comes out. Shocking to exactly and precisely no one. Georgia voted number one overall. They also took home the largest chunk of first place votes by not a small margin over number two and Ohio State University. Oregon 3, Texas 4, Alabama rounds out the top 5 of the AP Top 25.
Minor correction. I caught your "and" in there. I got that. You know, I know it's 6 a.m. in the morning, 6:02:48, whatever.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't do that on purpose.
Yeah, of course.
That would have been disrespectful.
It would have been mean. And you don't do mean things.
Yeah, of course. If someone says, "This is how I want you to refer to my sports team," obviously you're obligated to do that.
No, there's more than one Ohio University in Ohio, so you have to say "the," so you know which one you're talking about.
But there's only one Ohio State University, which, I mean, by technicality makes it the, but you know who else it makes the?
No, but
it makes every other school the whatever they are.
No, it doesn't.
Sure it does. There's more than one state university in Florida.
Like you, Rob, is the reason why "the" didn't get copywritten.
That was so dumb, dude. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not one of the guys that feels compelled to bag on Ohio State University. I'm not. But
that's because you're not a Clemson fan.
Trying to trade. No, it's not. I'm not a Clemson or any other team in the Southeast fan.
Right. If you were a Clemson fan, you'd be obligated to, as you say, bag on Ohio State.
I mean, maybe
used that
so.
term before, so I don't.
Maybe so.
I'm guessing that's bad.
But trying to trademark the word "the" is just hilarious, man. It's just it smacks of insecurity is what it does. It was wild when it happened. It still is now.
All right, my top row is disappearing, so they've decided to go into a second page and start erasing my page.
I don't think anyone intentionally did that.
Oh, come on. It's Cole.
Just the program stinks.
It's Cole. I've had a discussion with him before about.
And he said, "Yeah, my bad. I deleted your stuff."
No, he just he laughed about it with that evil laugh.
Yes, we all know Cole Bryson, the Lord of Darkness.
The meanest person in this building. Yes, absolutely. He laughed about it. He thought it was funny. And now my top row is gone after I went through the trouble of creating a whole other page So this kind of crap wouldn't happen. Now my top row is gone, and I got to remember what was up there.
I hope I meet Evil Cole one day. Does he have like a goatee versus regular Cole?
So you've already felt the effects of Eva Cole. I'll tell you later.
All right. So we got a lot we need to get into on the show today. We'll get into the AP Top 25 and some of the reactions to it. Clemson did catch a ranking. They start the season at number 14, one spot behind LSU, one spot ahead of Tennessee, two ahead of Oklahoma. Florida State does catch a ranking as well. They start just inside of the top 10 at number 10. Michigan is number 9. Penn State University. The Penn State University is number 8. The Notre Dame is at number 7. The Ole Miss is at number 6. The University of Alabama at number 5. The University of Texas, number 4. The University of Oregon, number 3. And, of course, the Ohio State University at number 2. Georgia tops your AP Top 25 out of the gate.
Sorry, I'm going to be mad about my cart wall for the rest of the day.
Yeah, I can tell.
Punk.
That rapscallion.
No, be considerate of others and realize that it's not just about you.
I don't think he did it on purpose.
It's about the team. Dude.
You think he did it on purpose?
I told you no, I don't think he cares.
That's not what I asked you. I said, do you think he did it on purpose?
When there are no repercussions for your actions, of course you do things on purpose.
So you think I'm here for the rivalry that is starting.
Oh, no, I'll just take his producer away. I mean, I can do that. He's needed elsewhere. And so good luck on your own, buddy. Leave my cart wall alone.
All right. So AP Top 25, we will react to that coming out the show. We didn't get to it yesterday. I wanted to. We didn't get to. We had a lot of football discussion that we needed to get into on the show today. We will get to it today because I'm curious, and NASCAR fans, it's your time to shine. How do we feel about the Austin Dillon win in the Cookout 400 on Sunday evening at Richmond, Virginia? I'm interested because there's two elements to this conversation that I think are important. Number one is the fact that this race was sparsely attended. Now, this race was the first race back after the NASCAR circuit did take an Olympic break, which was interesting because NASCAR is, not an Olympic sport yet.
Yeah, I was wondering about, why they would do that. I mean, maybe there's like some athletes involved, like sometimes people work at Home Depot, but they're also an Olympian. Maybe there was someone on a pit crew somewhere who was an Olympian.
I didn't hear the story if there was. What I can say is NASCAR obviously has a season that is 73 weeks long in the 52-week calendar. It's like it never stops. So I imagine
Sounds
it was
like baseball.
It was just a good opportunity for them to take a break, for them to just take a couple of days off. It is a high-intensity sport, a labor-intensive sport. Although we watch on, Sunday afternoons or night or whatever, NASCAR garages never stop working. There's never a spot where they're not, changing tires or experimenting or whatever. And so I imagine a good chunk of it was just to take a break. It was a good reason, a good excuse to take a break. So I wonder if having been off for 2 weeks and letting whatever news was out there, rivalries that were building, cool off a little bit, was a part of the reason that this race was sparsely attended in person, A, and B, there really wasn't a lot of talk about it on social media. But number two is a conversation that's been ongoing around NASCAR for a while. And that is, has the sport changed too much? Now, I am not a believer in this, and we will talk about this coming up in just a few minutes from now. I don't believe this, but I've got a lot of friends and family that are NASCAR fans that do. that NASCAR has kind of softened up a little bit. NASCAR isn't the sport it used to be. NASCAR isn't the aggressive bump and run contact sport that it used to be. And so we got to the end of this race with Austin Dillon, coincidentally enough, driving the number 3 car, of course, the same number that Dale the Intimidator Earnhardt used to drive. And Dale was absolutely a guy that would shove your ass up or down the track as he needed to in order to put his car into victory lane. Well, Austin Dillon did that with the 3 car this weekend. He took out Joey Logano and Denny Hamlin within the last 500 yards of this race. He got down into the back left quarter panel of Logano, sent him down the track. Then he ended up in the back right of Denny Hamlin, sent him up the track into the wall, was able to squeeze by both and get the win. Austin Dillon needed the win because we're getting late in the season. Dillon was sitting down around 30th place in the overall point standings, which for a guy that is expected to be competitive for a championship is real bad. So it's gotten to the point where Austin Dillon was not going to be able to race his way in just by earning enough points. Austin Dillon was going to have to win a race to earn a guaranteed playoff spot if he was going to find his way into the NASCAR postseason, which is only a few weeks away. And knowing that he was going to have to earn a win to get in, Dillon took out 2 cars. There is no question. This was not a oopsie daisy. This was a genuine, legitimate wreck. Like intentional. There's not a question about it. Wrecked 2 cars on his way to the checkered flag, which he did win and therefore earned himself his guaranteed playoff spot. Now, drivers have spoken out about it. Crew chiefs have spoken out about it. And now the NASCAR vice president for competition has spoken out about it, saying we don't like taking wins away from racers. We feel like that sets a dangerous precedent. But there's no doubt that this was close to crossing a line. Is that bad for NASCAR? Is it bad for this sport? A sport which I think plenty of us can say we watched and enjoyed back during the old Rubbins racing days. I think Dale Sr. is the most celebrated NASCAR driver of all time. You go to any track any given night, and you will still see people rocking the 3T and the 3-tat. He is one of the most celebrated drivers of all time, and part of the reason why was that method of driving. The fact that if there's you, him, and a checkered flag, if you not finishing your day means he finishes his day with a win, good luck, bud. Good luck. Because he's putting you into a wall to get that win. And he celebrated for it. But over the past couple of years, NASCAR has gotten away from that. It has gotten to be more of a race style of you respect your fellow drivers and you do everything you can to make sure as many cars as you can finish the race. And here comes Austin Dillon driving the 3 car, that same number 3 that Dale Sr. used to drive to victory lane. And he very clearly takes out not 1, but 2 separate cars en route to the checkers. Is that bad for a sport that, again, is it dying? No. But it's not growing either. Does that type of driving, does it help? Will it get more people involved, interested? If you know that inside the last 10, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 laps, there is an increased likelihood that, that you're going to see somebody make those kinds of moves.
I've seen the video a couple of times of the end of that race, and it looked like a NASCAR movie.
It very much does.
That's how what was that? What something Thunder with Tom Cruise? What
Days
was
of Thunder?
Days of Thunder. Yeah. Tropic Thunder got in my head.
Very different movie.
Yeah, I know.
Also a great movie.
I knew it was wrong. I
great
knew
movie.
it wasn't the right movie that I was thinking of.
What do you mean, you people?
Well, anyway, so Days of Thunder, make me think of Cops for some reason, was a good movie, but at the end, I mean, there was a lot of that stuff, and that's what that looked like. It looked like something like that.
For sure. And so here's the question. Actually, I really like that you said that. We'll throw this question out. Then we'll take a break and we'll come back and we'll talk about it. It was a very Days of Thunder ending. Is Austin Dillon the good guy or the bad guy if it is a movie? If it's a movie, is Austin Dillon the young up-and-comer who's got to make something incredible happen from the rear of the pack and drives uber aggressively and knocks out a couple of old guys to get himself into the postseason? Or is Austin Dillon the young, reckless driver who ends up creating problems on the track by overdriving it? I like putting it that way, and we will try our best to answer that question when we come back. The great Malonzo on the ones and twos.
Hey, this cart's called How We Drive. I mean, sometimes things happen.
Fitting. The renewal by Anderson of the Carolinas fan phone's open, 844-326-3663. You can text us at 71307, 71307. Start your text with fan. You guys frequently ask, how do you determine what gets talked about and what doesn't? The answer is what you react to. So NASCAR fans, you want more NASCAR? You want us to talk more about your sport on the show? You better get involved with the conversation. Austin Dillon's run on Sunday night, good or bad for the sport? We'll talk about that when we come back on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Okay.
I'll be spending the break trying to figure out what's missing. There's only 6 slots, but it's the beginning of.
Morning, Mike. Welcome in, bud. Good to have you. And everyone else watching.
Take us off the stream for a second.
Right back. Stops by 10.
That's true. Well, actually, they start at like 8.
They can pour till 10. Actually, no. Courtney's got to drive to work.
I need them to finish that deck so I don't have to go out the back
That's
door
fair.
anymore. Music.
Okay, I just needed to make sure it worked before I read the next text, which says, well, let me set the conversation up.
Is that the same tone? That sounds different.
It does sound different, but it is the same one.
Okay, as long as that's...
No, we're good.
Okay.
Make sure.
Okay, because if it's the wrong tone, that could be bad for us. We could get in trouble. So it just sounds weird.
I think we're good. Here's the conversation. The Cookout 400 ran on Sunday night in Richmond, Virginia. It ran in front of a relatively sparse crowd for a racetrack that is traditionally viewed as one of the most, let's say, historic, one of the legacy tracks on the NASCAR circuit in Richmond. Very sparse crowd. And as somebody who watches NASCAR, and as somebody who is usually at least quasi-active during NASCAR races on social media, I will say that this race generated very little interest, which is weird because if a sport takes a 2-week break, you would think that when it made its return, you would have a pretty healthy recognition of that return from fans, right? Do you imagine if we played 10 weeks of college football and then took a 2-week break? That return from that 2-week break would be enormous, right? Like it would be all we talked about for those last 3 or 4 days going into the weekend. And I acknowledge that I am part of the problem because I do have, with this microphone right here, I do have a minimal amount of power when it comes to what the attention of the sports world is here in the upstate. Because while I have an obligation to talk about the things that you guys are interested in talking about, while I do have an obligation to talk about the things that y'all want to get to, I do also have the ability to talk about whatever I want to talk about and control the narrative. That's a weird way to say it. Control the topics, not the narrative about them. Well, I mean, I do have that power. I don't wield it because I am a kind and benevolent show host, but I do have the power. I got the power. So,
just watching you dig out of that hole.
Yeah.
I
was trying to dig out, and then I realized, you know what? I don't want to dig out. It's true. All right.
It's comfy down there.
I do have the power. Yes. I make my home at the bottom of this hole that I've dug myself. So I could have talked about it more. Probably, frankly, should have talked about it more. I probably should have last week on Thursday or Friday said, hey, we got a race coming up. It's in Richmond. Cookout 400, interesting track, shorter track, means there's the possibility of some chaos. Boy, howdy, would I have been right if I had said that, yo. So I could have probably talked about it more. So it is on me to some degree. But I would also make the argument that when it comes to what I am going to bring up and set up, a lot of it comes from y'all. A lot of it comes from what do you react to? When I say X, does the stream chat pop off? Does the text line light up? Do the phone calls come in? What is it that you guys react to? Because that's kind of what I have to dive into. And over the last couple of years even, I have made the recognition that NASCAR has become something that has gotten less and less of a reaction over the last few years. When I moved here, NASCAR was something I regularly brought up on the show, and regularly I got response to it. Not the response I got from NFL talk or college football talk or even Braves talk, but I did get reaction. And the last probably 10 races of last year, and pretty much this season, with the exception of like the Daytona 500, it's really gotten none. So the question always gets asked whenever we talk about Major League Baseball and NASCAR primarily, what can those sports do in order to regenerate and rejuvenate interest in them? We've talked about baseball. One of the arguments that I've heard Lonzo make the argument, I've heard Diesel make the argument, I've heard Mark Ryan make the argument. One of the things I've heard before is baseball can decrease the length of the regular season. Take it from over 180 games down to, heck, 150, 140. Cut a third of the season off and shorten the regular season up so that you have fewer injuries playing into it. Fans don't have to feel like they're obligated to follow, 5, 6, sometimes 7 games a week of their favorite team every day, a 2.5-hour game. These are all ideas. And whenever I brought this conversation up about NASCAR and asked the question, what can NASCAR do to rejuvenate interest? Very rarely, though not never, does somebody bring up the concept of go back to letting NASCAR be a physical contact sport. Go back to allowing guys to put each other into the walls and whatnot. And so here we go. Cookout 400 at Richmond, sparsely attended, very little interest generated on the interwebs. And I feel like I'm dialed in enough in that world that I can be a gauge of whether that is true or not. And it is. Here comes Austin Dillon in the 3 car. He's in the somewhere around 30th in overall points, racing into the playoffs via points. Unlikely for the number 3 car. He was going to have to get a win and earn an automatic qualifier position. So he starts the restart in 3rd place. He's got Logano and Hamlin ahead of him. Looked like he was going to have the opportunity to drive away. Couple of restarts, couple of pits, shuffled up the pack a little bit. And here we go into the final back half lap. He comes up onto the rear of Joey Logano. Logano is, of course, blocking the track. He's got to run it second, right? Probably not going to catch Denny Hamlin, but sometimes you just got to look and go, points matter. Second place finish is real good. I'm just going to block up the track. I'll let Denny win it, but I'm going to make sure I get second. Nobody's going to pass me. And Austin Dillon says, yeah, no, I'm not good with that. So Dillon drives the nose of his car directly into the bumper of Joey Logano. He lifts the rear end of Logano's car. It spins Logano down the track and then around in a circle and up into the wall. As that's happening on the final lap, and in the final lap, NASCAR a lot less eager to wave the caution flag. They want this track to be finished under a green flag if at all possible. So they let it go. And then here comes Austin Dillon. Gets up the track, does end up catching up to Denny Hamlin. Gets up to Denny Hamlin. Denny Hamlin doing the same thing. I'm going to block you. I'm not giving up the checkered flag. You're going to have to fight me for it. Austin Dillon puts the front left of his car into the back right quarter panel of Denny Hamlin and spins Denny Hamlin up into the wall. Hamlin ends up bouncing off the wall, coming back down, bouncing back up the wall again, and ends up basically grinding the wall across the start-finish line. While Austin Dillon, right past him, and gets the win. Now again, Dillon has to win a race. There are I think 3 regular season races left. Had to have a win in one of them to get into the playoff. He was not racing his way in on points. And so the question that did pop up afterwards, because then the social media sphere shifted. None of my NASCAR buddies were texting me throughout the course of this race. That happened. I got 4 within a minute. I got 4 buds that talk NASCAR with me that were like, yo, about that. But what I found interesting was that those text messages were very, very split up, right? One guy that was like, yo, bleep Austin Dillon. That's not all right. One guy that said, in fact, Joey B texted the show. Texted me, said, I will never feel sorry for Joey Logano getting wrecked because of his history, but Dylan then wrecking Denny Hamlin was bleeping Bush League. He's going to have half the field gunning for him the rest of the season. I'm like, yeah. Does that not make you want to watch a little bit? Does that not make you want to tune in a little bit? Does that not pique your interest a little bit? That now there's a guy out there circling the track that is going to have a bullseye on his back. It's going to have a target on him at this point. Because a lot of other drivers are going to look at that and go, yeah, that's not cool, bud. That's not cool. And I think it may have been, and I don't have the quote in front of me. I wish I did. But one of the drivers, I think it was Denny Hamlin, that was like, yo, look, that's part of the game and we all get it, but you got to pay the piper for those kind of moments. You can win like that, but you have to understand when you do that there are repercussions. Guys are going to pay you back. And does that, my question is, does that pique your interest? Is that good for the sport? Is it good for the sport that, as Tracy just said on the Facebook chat, the 3-car does 3-car things? Which, yeah, absolutely. He said the 3-car does 3-car things. People are talking about NASCAR again. I guess it speaks for itself. And I don't disagree with that. Like I said, going into and through 99% of this race, none of my buddies were texting me about NASCAR. I'm on Twitter. It's not generating conversation. It's just a race that's happening in the background while the Olympic closing ceremonies are going on. There's not much talk to it. And then after that, it was trending on Twitter. It went from nothing on Twitter to trending on Twitter in literally a matter of a minute after that moment. But on the flip side, how does that make you feel about racing, right? Like, is that good? Is that good? Lonzo, as we were wrapping up the last segment, said something very interesting. He said it felt like the end of a Days of Thunder style movie. Felt like a NASCAR movie. Here comes this kid, back of the pack, got to win to give himself a chance, fights his way up through the field, and then drives aggressively to take out a couple of guys. And I agree with that, except for I could also make the argument that the movie features Austin Dillon as the bad guy.
Right, because NASCAR needs a heel champion. NASCAR doesn't thrive with a babyface champion. They've got to have a bad guy. They've got to have someone who doesn't take any crap from anybody and basically says, get out of my way, I'm going to win.
Sure.
They need that to get people to watch. If they have a babyface champ, no one cares.
And I don't disagree, but this is why, to me, NASCAR is so damn interesting. It is because Jeff Gordon was the heel driver for a long time, but there was nothing heel about the guy. He drove a rainbow car and talked like he was from California, and that was it.
That made him a heel to a lot of people, though.
Sure, but he had all the babyface tendencies, but was considered a heel on the NASCAR circuit for that reason. Here's the thing. There's no personality out of Austin Dillon, except the fact that he's willing to wreck out cars in order to win a race. Does that do anything, or is it more important that we have drivers with personality? Because a lot of people dislike Denny Hamlin because he gets out there and he will, into an open microphone, say, yo, that guy or that guy. And it's like, oh, I can root against that guy, or I can root for that guy. Is Austin Dillon doing stuff like this, or drivers doing stuff like this at the end of races a good thing or a bad thing? We got a text a minute ago real quick. I want to read it before we take a break if I can find it, because it's down in the Anyway, the texter said something to the effect of, Denny Hamlin did nothing wrong. Logano and Hamlin are babyfaces. And again, like, whatever, if that gets you to watch the sport. Does it intrigue anybody who has checked out? Is that a reason to come back? Back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate. Austin Dillon isn't good enough to be the villain. I know, but his last name's so perfect for it, though. Austin Villains right there.
No, what he needs to do, you said he was a 3 car, right?
Mm-hmm.
He needs to add a 1.6 next to it.
Oh,
No,
you don't commit sacrilege on that number.
Austin,
Not in NASCAR.
What you do if you want to be the villain.
Austin 316 says, I just wrecked your ass.
Exactly.
How did I not cut off?
Exactly. I mean, that's the whole thing. That's how you embrace the villain.
Oh, that's incredible.
That's how you become the heel.
I come to that? Beacon. Dun, 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 dun. I will go with this. I'm not an Austin Dillon guy. But if he was to come out and drop in Austin 316 says, I just wrecked your ass, immediately becoming my favorite driver.
That goes for a lot of people.
For sure.
It's a great marketing.
But my man's name is Austin. Like,
right.
It is scripted.
Right.
What? You know, sometimes it's just right in front of your face and you miss it. And I have to acknowledge the great one pointed out to me during the break that there is a branding opportunity on the table for Austin Dillon right now that I just missed. I just missed when we were talking the last segment. And I'm not gonna spend a bunch more time on it, though I will spend a little more time on it because I love NASCAR. I have been a fan since college. I was not a fan in high school. I became a fan in college because I went to college. I had a buddy of mine that I'm still dear friends with, buddy of mine that I went to college with, big NASCAR guy. And he did the same thing for me that got me into soccer. He said, come watch a race with me. I will buy the brewskis. If you don't have a good time, you got some free beer at a bar for a few hours. And I was like, sure, why not? We went and watched the Talladega race. He laid it on the table about what was happening and why. And I was like, oh, all right. I get it now. I understand now. And ever since then, I've loved the sport. I think it's a great sport. I do think it is one of the sports, and I know this makes me sound a certain kind of way, but I think it is one of those sports, and I don't think it's a bad thing to say this. I just think it comes across a certain kind of way. I think it's one of those sports that does not make sense until you get it, right? Yeehaw! Until you dig in, until you dive in. It is one thing to turn on the TV and see a bunch of cars going fast and turning left. That's what I used to say about NASCAR. Why am I going to watch a bunch of guys drive fast and turn left? I still make that joke even as a NASCAR fan. Let's get up on Sunday and watch some drive fast, turn left, right? But I think it takes some time. I think it takes some time to really dive in to understand how much is going on at any given moment. How much is going on with the driver? How much is going on with the car? How much is going on with the pit crews, with the chiefs, with the decisions, with the strategies, with the tire wear and tear, with the decisions on fuel? All these going on, and then you'll get into the conditions inside of the car when these guys are spinning circles, not just for 3 hours, but inside of a heat box that's 130 degrees in a full fire suit with very little to comfort them, right? So I love all that. And all that being said, I am always looking for ways to try to get the opportunity to get people into it. I take as often as I can. I like taking people to their first NASCAR race. Since I've moved here, I've taken probably 6 or 7 people to their first NASCAR race at Charlotte, either the 600 or the Roval. As a matter of fact, in October, I will be going back up to Charlotte to tailgate and go to the Roval again. My little brother's coming up. We're meeting a group of friends, but the little brother is coming up and bringing my nephew. It's going to be his first big-time NASCAR race. He's seen local short track racing, but it'll be his first big-time NASCAR race. Really excited. Meeting a couple of the guys, and I don't know who it's going to be yet, but somebody's coming with me for the first NASCAR race. And I can't tell you how many people I've gotten to a race that they go, oh, I get it now. I understand it now. It makes sense to me now. And a lot of that has to do with picking a driver, right? How many times have you heard me say this? It's easier to get into a sport when you have a rooting interest in the sport. This is why the way that I have found to get people into soccer is not to get them to watch Chelsea and Man United. It's not to get them to watch LA Galaxy versus Orlando City. The best way I found to get people into soccer, into footy, is to take them to a Greenville Triumph game, to bring them to a game in person, to root for a group of fellas that are wearing their city across the front of the jersey, right? Now you got a rooting interest. I want to declare upstate superiority over the Charlotte Independents. I want those folks in Charlotte to know that we're real, or Knoxville One, or whoever. I want them to know GSP, yeah, is where it's at. And so when you put that into them, when you give them a rooting interest, that's where it goes. That's what happened to me. I told you about the story. My buddy Mark from college took me to watch a NASCAR race. Took me to a bar. Had never really gotten into it. All my uncles, big NASCAR guys. They love it. My Uncle Jared's garage is a shrine to NASCAR. All right? He's got stuff dating back to like the old days hanging in there. Great memorabilia. But it didn't click with me. It was go fast, turn left. And then my buddy Mark took me to a bar, and I got there, and we talked about Jeff Gordon in the last segment. I remember, I can't tell you what race it was. I can't tell you what track it was. All I can tell you is that while we were in this bar, at one point, Jeff Gordon charged out to a lead, and the place went crazy in a bad way. Boo! And I very distinctly remember them saying things about Jeff Gordon that would catch you a 2-game suspension from the Boston Red Sox. Like, it's pretty bad. I was like, oh, Mark, why? Why did everybody suddenly get mad? And he explains to me, hey, Jeff Gordon, he's a California guy. Sun shines from California, y'all. He's like, he's just not. It's not the Southern archetype, right? He's not your traditional NASCAR driver. He's from California. He drives a car with rainbow paint motif. He speaks eloquently. He's not a traditional NASCAR guy. And I went, and that just makes people mad. And he goes, yeah. And I went, I'm a Jeff Gordon fan now. For no other reason then, I knew if I rolled up in there and cheered for Jeff Gordon, I was going to make it awkward. And that's fun for me sometimes. So then now I got a rooting interest. Now I got no connection to Jeff Gordon at all. I've been to California once for like 2 days for a crawfish boil. Outside of that, never been to California. No love for California. No connection to it. Didn't go to the same school as Jeff Gordon. None of that, right? I did none of those things. But now I have a rooting interest. And then you could get me to the bar. Because even if it wasn't for the racing, even if it was just to go to walk in my Jeff Gordon t-shirt and watch people side-eye me and talk smack, fine, good for me. And now all of a sudden I love the sport. Now I'm hooked. Now I'm in, right? So how do you get more people in? Number one, I think you kind of emphasize. You know what this reminds me of? And then I want to get to the marketing strategy because Alonzo came up with a beautiful marketing strategy to get a guy over. What this reminds me of, do you remember a couple of years ago, ESPN, I think it was ESPN. ESPN used to do a segment on their NFL show, Lonzo, called Jacked Up. And basically, it was the biggest hits from the NFL that week, right? They come in on Monday. I think it was during Monday Night Football or Monday Night Countdown on ESPN, and they'd bring on Boomer and Randy Moss and whoever else was doing the show that day. And they would show from the weekend the biggest hits from the NFL season. And every time somebody would go, everybody on the show would go, he got jacked up. And that was the thing. And then that was about the same time that the NFL started realizing that those uber violent collisions, they're kind of dangerous. They're kind of dangerous. And that's when the rules started going in about, all right, you can't hit guys in the head. You know, you can't hit defenseless receivers.
You can't hit them in the legs. You can't hit them in the midsection. You can't hit them in the groin. You can't hit them in the backside.
Well, you don't want them to lose a groin.
Well, yeah, you can't hit them in the shoulders. You can't hit them. Well, you can hit them in the arms, I think, but not in the hands. I don't know where you can hit them, but there's a place in there somewhere.
And while that non-joke joke is appreciated, aren't we? I think this is why I brought it up. It kind of feels like we're having the same conversation with NASCAR right now, right? Like they took that out. They didn't take all of that out of football, but they did try to minimize the most dangerous collisions. But the most dangerous collisions are the ones that made you go, that hurt. That hurt. The NFL took a lot of that away. Kind of feel like we're in the same spot here to some degree, right? Like, on one hand, I would not disagree with you to think that a certain element of demolition derby in NASCAR would absolutely make the sport more entertaining, right? It just would. On the flip side, a little bit dangerous. And on top of that, those wrecks make races way longer. If they got to go out there every 10 laps and bring out the wrecker and tow a car off the track, and they gotta pull pieces and parts of cars off the track and dry up oil and gas that got everywhere and yada yada yada, it makes the race longer. And now all of a sudden, what should be a 3-hour race is now a 4.5. I'll tell you a quick story. 2 years ago, the 600 up in Charlotte. The lady friend came with me. Her first big time NASCAR race. We went up there. There were a bunch of cautions. It ended up being the longest race in NASCAR history. It was like 5.5 hours. Her and her brother. Now, her brother's a NASCAR guy, so he knew what he was in for. But her and her brother, we got like 50 laps to go, and they're like, we're out, dude. I'm done with this. It's been 5 hours, right? Can't have that. Can't have that. She is now put off to NASCAR. Somebody that I probably could have gotten to come to a lot of races over the years, with Atlanta one way and Charlotte the other. Even though I've told her, you pick the anomaly. It was the longest race that's ever happened. You come to the Roval in October, it's a much shorter race. Much shorter race. She's like, nah, it wasn't for me. Wasn't for me. I might could have won her over if it was a great race. But it wasn't. And it was because of, A, it's a 600-mile lap. It's already the longest race on the track, on the circuit. But B, there was a lot of wrecks in this race that they kept having to stop the race to fix it up. And it got boring for her. And now she's out. So I think that's a problem. So how do you market it? How do you get it back? How do you make it back? Well, one of those things is lean into your bad guys. Lean into your bad guys. Lean into the guys that do stuff like this and make them a personality while also making sure they understand there's a lot of guys on the track that aren't bad guys. And they're coming for you now, Austin Dillon. And Lonzo, during the break, Tracy said the 3-car does 3-car things. And I said, yeah, but does that make him the bad guy? I mean, it's kind of written right there. His last name is Dillon. You could call him Austin Villain. It's right there. Tracy said he's not good enough to be the villain. And Lonzo said it would be if you stuck a 1-6 after his number, a 16 after his number. He would literally be Austin 316, which means that Austin Dillon should start the next race during driver introductions. And now the driver of the number 3 Hendrick Motorsports, Austin Dillon. And Dillon walks out, grabs the mic. Logano, Hamlin, Austin 316 says I just wrecked your ass. And then walk to the pits, and that's it. That's it. Tell me now I'm not locked in. I'm not you should have 2 cameras now. You should have Big Cam that shows the race, and you should have Austin Villain Cam that's just on the 3-car. Just put him in a little small square up in the corner, put Dillon Cam, and just follow number 3 around the track while he knows that 20 is out there looking for him. 11 is out there looking for him. The teammates of 20 and 11 are out there looking for him. Everybody's out there looking for that 316 car. Because he just said, Austin Dillon 316 says, I just wrecked your ass. Lean into the bad guy. Make it a thing. Jim Harbaugh last year was bad for college football, the game, but he was great for eyeballs on the game. He was bad for what happens on the field. That team cheated a lot. We all agree, right? I don't have to ask Alonzo. I know his answer. I'll ask the Armada. We all agree Michigan cheated a lot last year, right? We all agree. Whether it's something that everybody does or not, we all agree they cheated a lot last year, right? And yet, when Michigan made it into the college football playoff, what happened? We were all locked in. Because what were we looking for? Retribution. Comeuppance. Everything is wrestling. Everything is wrestling. We were looking for the bad guy, for the heels, to get their retribution, to get their payback, to get their comeuppance. And guess what? Sometimes the bad guy wins. And the bad guy won. But the eyeballs were there. And a lot of that was because we were looking to see, does this coach who got suspended not once but twice, does he get beat? Does he lose in the most painful way? Or does the bad guy win and get away with it? And he did. Not only did he win and get away with it, but then he walked with the title. He took the belt, right? Austin Dillon in NASCAR could be that spot right now. He could be in that spot. Come out, be a bad guy, talk smack, and let's see what happens. Amazon guy said, taking my mom to her bucket list race this year, the Bristol night race in September. Amazon guy, you're going to have a ball, bro. It's going to be spectacular. We'll talk more about this later on in the show. We got the water cooler cheat sheet coming up next. That's all after Lonzo flashes you.
My God, that's Austin Dillon's music.
God.
The college football AP Top 25 was released yesterday with very few surprises at the top. The Georgia Bulldogs are number 1, collecting 46 first-place votes, outpacing number 2 Ohio State with 15, and third-place Oregon with 1. Texas and Alabama round out the top 5, followed by Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and FSU. Clemson was ranked 14th, 1 spot behind LSU and 1 ahead of Tennessee. New York Jets edge rusher Rashad Hassan Reddick has requested a trade from the team after a contract standoff. The former Carolina Panther has missed 3 weeks of camp so far, which has cost him over $1.7 million. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun. Diesel's on vacation, Wire to Wire. There's a, you know that thing when you print something out and there's like a faded line, like right down a certain part. There's that on my print. Should probably take that pen and just like write out the parts that are faded. That's the excuse I'm going with. It's true, but that's the one I'm going with. All right, now I can read it. I probably should have did that first in the first place, but I did not because, thought I could handle it, and I was wrong. Did not handle it.
No, not a William Byron guy. I for a long time, I was Kyle. I mean, I still am a Kyle Busch guy just because of how much he got under everybody's skin. But he is struggling right now on the new team. So I've kind of cooled off. I don't really have a driver right now. I haven't had anybody jump off the page at me yet. When I got into NASCAR, it was Jeff Gordon, just because of how much I could antagonize people by being a Jeff Gordon fan. And then when Jeff retired, Kyle Busch kind of stepped into that role, right? Kyle Busch kind of became the guy that everybody hated because of how he drove. And I enjoyed that. I guess this is kind of part of the problem. And I probably should have. I wish I'd have come to this realization on the air. I guess that's kind of part of the problem is that there's not really an antagonistic driver right now, right? Like there's just not. And to me, there is a difference between antagonistic and reckless, right? Jeff Gordon was antagonistic. He didn't drive reckless, but he antagonized. When he won, you knew. Kyle Busch did not drive reckless, did drive aggressively. And aggressive, I'm good with. I think there's a line between aggressive and reckless. And I think part of the issue is like a lot of guys can't toe that line. I think one of the things you can say about Dale Sr. was Dale Sr. drove aggressive, but he didn't drive reckless per se. Like he'd bump you. But the premise of him doing that was to make you get out of the way. When you saw when the three filled up the rearview mirror, you moved, or he was going to move you. I don't think there's that guy right now.
New life in the first break.
Seattle Mariners starting pitcher Logan Gilbert threw 7 shutout innings last night before the game was over, was photographed in the Mariners clubhouse playing EA Sports College Football 2025 on the big screen. My man could not wait to get back into dynasty mode. Hour number 2 with the Rob Brown Show goes now. It is the Fan Upstate. Robin the Great One Lonzo with you. Tuesday morning, rain across the area this AM, so please be very careful when you get up and get headed to work. Be careful on the roadways. They're going to be slick, and they're going to stay slick for just a little while. All right, slick? That was dumb. I hate myself. Be careful while you're out there on the roadways this morning because the weather is going to stay nasty for a hot minute. Seattle Mariners starting pitcher Logan Gilbert went 7 shutout innings last night. Good pitching outlet. Not the story. The story was not that. The story was that after Logan Gilbert got yanked from the game for going 7 shutty, Logan Gilbert immediately disappeared from the dugout. And there were questions, where'd he go? What's he doing? He got yanked after 7 and disappeared. Was he mad he got pulled? A lot of pitchers get upset if they're working a 7-inning shutout. Coach, I got 6 more outs. I got it in me. Let me finish this thing. Let me throw the shutout. Let me throw the full game shutout. And then it was revealed where he went. He did not disappear because he was upset with the coach. He did not disappear because he was upset about getting yanked. He did not disappear because he was squabbling with the teammate in the dugout. He didn't disappear because he was upset with himself. No. Logan Gilbert disappeared because Logan Gilbert, though, went straight into the clubhouse, fired up the PS5 in the player rec room, and jumped on EA Sports College Football 25. My man was running his dynasty mode before the game was over. Could not wait to get back on the sticks.
I usually don't go against the gamer because I game a lot, but the fact that you don't care about your team enough to stay out there and root them on, and you want to go back and do things about you, it's just another testament about the individuality of baseball.
I mean, you can't like the NBA if you're mad about individuality in baseball. But, I mean, here's the thing. If
you do that in basketball, if you do that in football, if you do that in any other sport, you're going to get labeled something. But why is it okay in baseball?
I don't know that it is okay. I think Logan Gilbert is going to get it in the media today. And for the record, justifiably so, because everything you just said is correct. Stick in the dugout, holla for the boys, try to give them a little gas, a little energy, because if nothing else, if my starting pitcher goes out there and gives me 7 shutout innings, you kind of want to win one for the Gipper in that spot, don't you? You kind of want to go out there and go, my man put on a performance tonight. 7 shutout, guy was ripping through the lineup. I kind of want to win this game for him because he earned it, right? I need to make sure that he can stick that W tag on the end of the name. Kind of need to make sure that he gets to bump that record up, the first number, the left side of the dash in that record up by 1 if he goes 7 shutty, for sure. So, like, stick in the dugout, be with the boys, be their flag. Right? You always you go back and you look at old war movies, and there's always the guy that charges in the battle. He doesn't have a weapon. He's just waving the flag. But that guy might be the most important guy on the battlefield, because when things start going bad, but he jumps up in the front of the line and starts waving that flag, it gives you a symbol, a representation of what it is that you are fighting for in that moment. And so you stop thinking about yourself and you start thinking about what you are fighting for in that moment. Be that for the boys, Logan Gilbert. But then there's this little part of me, Zoe, in the back of the brain, like this little part of me in the back of the brain that's like, yeah, but if you're going to leave, that's a pretty good reason. Like, if you're going to leave, the fact that you got a dynasty match scheduled, the fact that you need to go put one in the record books in dynasty mode, if you're going to bail out of something, I mean, I get it.
Sounds a little bit like addiction. I'm just saying.
I mean, maybe.
That you got to have your fix. So you got to get back there, and it's starting to interfere with your job. Might need to go get some help.
I had a conversation like that not terribly long ago with, I'll just say, somebody. The same conversation, because I had a game night scheduled with the boys, right? We were getting on. We were going to play Sea of Thieves, a little pirate game, right? We're going to jump on and be pirates.
Was this last night?
No, it was a couple nights ago. I wasn't going to put a timestamp on it.
Because you were on there last night.
I was on there last night. We were definitely sailing the high seas.
Not stalking, but every once in a while, just check and see what your friends are doing. I mean, maybe you want to jump into a game with them. So
you should have. We had room.
Yeah,
had one more on the brig.
I've never played it. I would mess you guys up.
Nah, neither of 2 of the other dudes out of the 3 I was playing with. It's fine. So we were playing
I'd be the guy that would fire the cannon when he shouldn't, that type of thing.
We were playing not too long ago, and I will acknowledge I stayed up probably dramatically later than I should have, being a pirate. And the lady friend was like, dude, you need to go to bed. And here's the thing. She's right. I absolutely did. But we were like 85% of the way of finding the treasure chest we needed to find to turn in to make money so that I could buy my own ship, right? I can't walk away now. The boys are in the zone. We're in the zone. I'm like, I can't. You're right. I do need to come to bed, but I can't yet. And she's like, I think you're addicted. And it was in that moment that I went, I am. But leave me alone, because there's a skeleton ship attacking me right now, and I've got to, if we get sunk, I lose my treasure. I can't lose my treasure. I got too much on board. All right? I can't lose my treasure. I need you to leave me alone right now. And she goes, yeah, I think my point, and then walked away. And I'm like, yeah, no, I agree. You're right. I have an issue. I acknowledge it, but I don't want to stop. This isn't an I can't stop, so I don't want to stop. So what I'm saying is, I kind of understand Logan Gilbert in this moment, right? I kind of get it. Like, yeah, be out there. Give the boys a symbol of what they're rooting for. You just gave them 7 shutty. But at the same time, I'd argue he did go 7 shutout innings. I think he's earned a little bit of a break from baseball in that moment. My man went 80-some-odd pitches of 7 shutout ball. I think he's earned the opportunity to pop on the PS5 and try to get, and I zoomed in, the Knowles into the playoffs in his dynasty mode. All right, it is 7:07. You got 52-ish, some odd, whatever minutes, till you got to get to the office, till you got to start work. But then you get that first break. Then you get to talk some sports. Then you get to have a little fun. And if you're going to talk sports at the office, you need to know what's going on. And if you need to know what's going on, you need this.
Are you ready for the playbook of the peculiar, the almanac of the absurd, and the encyclopedia of the extraordinary? Well, you better be, because we're diving headfirst into the 3 top stories that will have your coworkers saying,
game over, man. It's game over.
They take their first bathroom break.
No. Here we go.
Welcome to the water cooler cheat sheet on the Fan Upstate.
It's the water cooler cheat sheet, the top 3 sports stories that you need to know before you get to the office and start talking sports with your coworkers this morning. When you do, this is what you will be discussing. Let us begin with item number 1. Your preseason AP Top 25 college football poll is out, ladies and gentlemen, and to the surprise of exactly and precisely nobody, it is the Georgia Bulldogs that are on top. Georgia received 46 first-place votes. They outpaced second-place Ohio State by 31. They got 15. Oregon received 1 first-place vote and was labeled 3rd overall to start the season. The rest of your top 10 stacks up like this. Texas 4, Alabama 5, 6 Ole Miss, 7 Notre Dame, 8 Penn State, Michigan is number 9, and Florida State opens at number 10. Clemson did get a top 25 ranking. They will begin the season at number 14. That is behind LSU at 13, Utah at number 12, Missouri at number 11. Tennessee is 1 spot behind Clemson at number 15. They are stacked up with Oklahoma, Oklahoma State, Kansas State, Miami, and the Colt in the top 20. Arizona, Kansas, USC, NC State, and Iowa wrap up your top 25. And if that sounds SEC/Big Ten heavy, it's because it is predominantly the SEC and the Big Ten comprising your top 25. You have inside of the top 10, 1 ACC school in Florida State, 1 independent school in Notre Dame. Everybody else comes out of the Big Ten or the SEC. 8 of the top 10. Sounds more impressive if you say 80% of the top 10 made up of Big Ten and Southeastern Conference schools. And again, it gets even more ridiculous if you head down into the top 25. You do pick up a couple more ACC squads in Clemson, in Miami, and in NC State. You pick up a couple of Big 12 squads. You got Utah in there. You got Okie State in there. You got Kansas in there. But everybody else, the SEC and the Big 10. Coming up in the next segment, we'll talk a little bit about some of the things that jumped off the page or didn't to me in the AP Top 25 when it was released yesterday. Let's get to item number 2. The L streak for the Atlanta Braves has come to its conclusion. Well, I say L streak. They did lose only one. They picked up one against the Rockies, dropped the opener. So 2 out of the 3 losses. That is coming off of a 3-game sweep at the hand of the Brewers and a 4-game 2-2 split with the Miami Marlins. But the Braves got back on the winning side of things. It wasn't pretty. The Braves had 4 hits through 10 innings of baseball last night, but they do get away from the Giants. 1-0 was your finish, while the Bravos had just 4 hits. Once again, the reason the Braves have been anything close to competitive is pitching. And that happened again last night. It happened again last night when Chris Sale went 7 innings of just 3-hit ball. He K'd 12 in the matchup, but he did not earn the win. Raisel Iglesias did. He pitched the 9th and the 10th innings, did so surrendering no hits, no runs, no walks, and 4 strikeouts. Iglesias is now 2-1. Chris Sale did not earn the win, but probably deserved it after 7 innings of 3-hit ball. Blake Snell was very, very good last night for the San Francisco Giants. Blake Snell ended up going off for 6.1 innings, gave up just 3 hits to the Atlanta Braves. But the Braves needed just the just the go-ahead single from Travis d'Arnaud that scored the ghost runner Orlando Arcia from second base. He actually was on third base. He got knocked around on a single, just a shot ahead. But d'Arnaud credited with the game-winning RBI in the top of the 10th. The Giants could not find the matcher in the bottom of the 10th, and the Atlanta Braves get the win in that spot. With that win, the Bravos now find themselves back in second place in the NL East, now a full game clear of the New York Mets. In the wild card race, the Atlanta Braves now find themselves in a wild card position, the final wild card position, third place in the wild card races, 1 game clear of the Mets, 2.5 games clear of the Cardinals, and said Giants that they knocked off last night. Let's go to item number 3. I got to tell you, this is an interesting spot for us to be in here, Zoe, because the Olympics are over. We're 11 days and 4 hours and 45 minutes and 35 seconds, but who's counting, away from the start of college football season, with a week 0 kickoff at noon next Saturday between FSU and Georgia Tech in Dublin, Ireland. So there's not a lot going on. But item number 3, contested. Not going to spend a lot of time on it because I'm going to be real. I don't think a lot of you care, but I do. USA Gymnastics has been lobbying to make sure that their gymnast, Jordan Childs, did not lose the bronze medal that she was awarded in the floor exercise at the Paris Olympics. The Olympic Committee made an adjustment after the medals were awarded that decreased the degree of difficulty after a protest from Romania, whose gymnast checked in 4th in the floor exercise, decreased the difficulty of the routine performed by Jordan Childs enough that the Olympic Committee decided that they were going to remove the bronze medal from Jordan Childs and award it to the Romanian gymnast. Team USA Gymnastics filed their appeal, said that it should not have been adjusted, that Jordan Chiles should be able to keep her bronze medal. The International Gymnastics Federation said that they would respect the court's decision and elevate Ana Barbosu of Romania to third. The IOC confirmed the ruling, announcing that it would reallocate the bronze medal from Jordan Chiles to Romania's Ana Barbosu, meaning that the American medal count down by 1 after they lost a bronze, and the Romanian medal count up by 1. Again, I know most of you don't care, but I do, because homegirl put it on the line for 4 years to be ready for this event, won the medal, and then got told, yeah, but actually you didn't. And that's kind of a bummer. All right, let's take a break. When we come back here in just a minute, we start breaking down the AP top 25 poll. Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, Texas, and Alabama are your top 5. Couple of things stood out to me. Couple of things did not. We'll tell you what those were when we come back. I am Rob Brown, the great Malonzo on the ones and twos. Be careful on the roads out there, kids. It's wet. I don't want to report on any wrecks. I don't want Bill Brooks to have to do extra work in the traffic report today, all right? Make Bill's life easy. Be careful. We're back after this on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, quick live, and we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you. All right, guys, we're back. Thanks for hanging in there. Appreciate you, as always. You right there, partner? Saw that.
That probably has something to do with it. I know since we got home at 10, they're probably not working on it.
Nope.
May not be raining at my house, though.
Easily jump to the topics that you care about most, like the latest updates from your team. Your sports talk your way. The Odyssey app. Download it today.
Sponsored by ChumbaCasino.com. Welcome to the ultimate playground for online social casino enthusiasts. Get ready to live the Chumba life and play over 100 online casino-style games for free at ChumbaCasino.com.
It's BetMGM tonight.
2 years ago, he pretty much individually won me my fantasy baseball league. This was 2 years ago. I didn't do the draft. Go do the draft. He got jumped and spent and picked the match. You and I were doing the show.
Updates as they happen. Weeknight recap on the Fan Update.
Rise and shine, sports fans. Grab your coffee and get
Matt World, next break.
10-4. The Rob Brown Show on your radio. It is the Fan Upstate. We are taking a look at the AP Top 25. As we mentioned, not a bunch of surprises at the top. It breaks down thusly. Iowa checks in at number 25, just behind NC State at 24, USC 23. 22 is Kansas, 21 Arizona. Number 20 is the Colt, Texas A&M. Miami cracks the top 20 at number 19, Kansas State 18. Okie State locks in 17, Oklahoma 16. UT, that would be the Tennessee version, is at number 15. Clemson ranks 14th in the preseason AP Top 25, just behind 13 LSU, number 12 Utah, 11 Mizzou, and just inside the top 10 is FSU. Michigan is number 9, Penn State 8, 7. Notre Dame, 6, Ole Miss. Your top 5 goes Alabama, Texas, Oregon, Ohio State, and number 1 overall, the Bulldogs of Georgia. That is how they stack up. So, looked through last night and recognized a couple of things. Number 1, Lonzo, I think this is the day that we can forever and always retire the phrase officially Power 5. Now, we already knew that because the Pac-2 isn't the Pac-12 anymore. So we already kind of knew.
Does Pac-2 have anyone ranked?
No, I don't believe either of their both schools are in the AP Top 25. What we can say for sure and certain is that Power 5 is dead. Why? Because there's 4 conferences represented in the top 25. The ACC has 4 teams. The Big 12 has 5 teams. The Big 10 has 6 teams. And the Southeastern Conference has 9 teams. But wait, Rob Brown, said the nerds. That's 4 conferences, but only 24 spots. That is correct, because inside the top 10, you find the University of Notre Dame, which, of course, plays its football as an independent. The Pac-12's only 2 teams, Washington State and Oregon State, neither present in the poll, meaning that for the first time, the AP Top 25 has just 4 conferences overall in the rankings. Number 2, you can blame it on bias or you can blame it on reality. But the Southeastern Conference, once again, reigns supreme. 9 teams inside the top 25 for the SEC. That gets a little bit more impressive if you dig in. Because of the 9 teams, 4 of the top 6 are SEC teams. Georgia, Texas, Alabama, and number 6, Ole Miss. Of the top 6, 4 of them are from the SEC. If you stretch that out to the top 5, you add 4 more. Or to the top 25, you add 4 more. Mizzou, LSU, Tennessee, and Oklahoma at number 11, 13, 15, and 16, respectively. I mean, it kind of is what it is. Again, do I believe that there is a little inherent bias towards the SEC? Yes, I do. I always have. And I think last year proved that. As far as I am concerned, I know there are some of you that disagree. I don't care if you disagree. I think last year proved there is an inherent bias. But regardless of it, if it is justified or if it is biased, the reality is the Southeastern Conference once again dominates the college football landscape. I got a little curious last night, and there is a Twitter account that I love called the Sickos Committee on Twitter. Sickos Committee just basically goes and finds all the weird stuff in college football, and then as adults do, tweets about it. It's one of my favorite pastimes. But Sickos Committee on X decided to do the yeoman's work last night and to take a gander and put together the top 12 playoff teams if this was the final poll of the season. It may shock you, but it is not. There is a lot of football between here and the time that we get that poll. But I thought it was interesting nonetheless. If the top 25 that we got yesterday was the final poll of the season, here's how your playoff bracket would lay out. Great one. We would open with 4 games. Boise State would get into the playoffs. They would be the number 12 seed. They would travel to Eugene to take on the Oregon Ducks. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish would get in, but as a 9 seed. Remember, they cannot be conference champions. That's the price they pay for remaining independent. They would travel down to the Grove to take on Ole Miss in an 8-9 matchup. Michigan would get in an at-large position. The number 11 seed, they would travel down to Austin to take on Texas. And then number 10 Penn State would travel to Tuscaloosa to take on Alabama. The winner of the Boise State-Oregon matchup would move on to take on the winner of the the Big 12 Utah. The Notre Dame Fighting Irish versus Ole Miss. The winner of that game would then take on the SEC's champion, number 1, Georgia. The winner of Michigan and Texas would then match up with the winner of the ACC, Florida State. And the winner of Penn State, Alabama would match up with the winner of the Big 10, the Ohio State University. Could have a Big 10 matchup in round number 2 of the playoffs. You could have an SEC matchup in round number 2 if Ole Miss knocked off Notre Dame, could get the Rebels and the Dogs in round number 2. It's interesting because I will tell you a great one. Of these first round matchups, there is only one, and I'm including the second round matchups no matter who wins the first round matchups. There's only one game that I think's a dog walk, and I think that's Boise State at Oregon. I think Oregon would come into that game as probably like a 10-point favorite over the Broncos. But I think Notre Dame Ole Miss would be fun. I think Michigan Texas would be phenomenal. I think Penn State Alabama in Tuscaloosa could be a lot of fun. I think Alabama wins that game because James Franklin can't win the big game to save his ass. Then I look at the backup jobs. If Boise State knocked off Oregon, suddenly they are the Cinderellas of the playoffs. Boise State at Utah. If they don't, the Oregon Ducks taking on a former conference mate would be fun. Notre Dame, Ole Miss, I don't care which one of those two teams takes on Georgia. Remember, second round quarterfinal games are at neutral sites. Those are at bowl game sites. Michigan or Texas versus FSU could be very interesting. Penn State at Alabama versus Ohio State could be very interesting. Here's what I'll say. A lot of discussion about whether or not the playoff 12 would provide interesting matchups. Obviously, the preseason poll is not going to look like the final poll of the season, Will, great one. But if those were the 12 teams, I got to say it's provided some pretty compelling matchups.
Yeah, I'm just to busting that. I'm kind of excited. I think that would be really cool. So hopefully it's going to be equally as compelling when we get to the end of the year, and it probably will. Some of those names will drop out for sure, but others will make their way in. And we've been wanting it. We get it. We finally get it. We're just a few months away from seeing what that's going to be. And as quickly as time's going by, it'll be like day after tomorrow. So, I mean, looking forward to it.
Finally, last thing that jumped out. Michigan is the reigning, defending, undisputed college football national champions. And yet, Michigan dropped all the way down to number 9, one spot ahead of a Florida State team that was considered not good enough to make the playoffs, despite being a 13-0 Power 5 conference champ last year. 2 spots behind a Penn State team that has beat them consistently over the years. 3 spots behind an Ole Miss team that has done what? Anybody? Bueller? No, nobody?
You know, Michigan dropped so low because that powerhouse J.J. McCarthy is no longer there.
Powerhouse J.J. McCarthy. Of course, the man who is going to, without a doubt, end up leading the Minnesota Vikings to playoff glory.
Mm-hmm.
I have zero faith in J.J. McCarthy, just so we're clear. I don't believe in J.J. McCarthy in the NFL at all.
He throws really good to the other team so far.
It's been a bit of a trip on the struggle bus for J.J. So there you have it. There's some initial glances. There is actually one more I noticed. Despite the fact that the fans, because they're dumb, have been dropping mucho dinero on Colorado as a playoff appearer this year, they received across the entire AP voting base, they received 1 point in the AP Top 25 voting. 1 point, which means that the fans are still on board for the Neon Dion show, but those of us that know ball do not believe in the Buffs anymore. I found that compelling after Dion's contentious press conference this weekend.
Coach Prime.
He ain't my coach. Best you'd get is maybe Prime. But he got no votes. He got 1 vote, and that's it. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate. Mad World. All right, guys, one more live when we're back. Stay right there for me, please, and thank you.
You did trombone? What's it with that thing on the end of it?
A mute.
Yeah. It was definitely a muted horn. You could
Yeah.
tell by that, but I thought it was a trombone. Can you mute a trombone?
Yeah, it's the trombone mute. Looks like a plunger. It's hard to because obviously you got to move the slide. I did see a guy one time. Now, so like it kind of limits the range, but ordinarily you would do that if you're playing like a sustained note.
Right. It was jazz.
Yeah.
Someone
More popular with a trumpet, obviously.
I think maybe it was, but it sounded more like trombone.
Probably trumpet.
I mean, we both know who changed it to that channel. I wish I knew what he says to get it in there, because I like that
jazz
channel.
Music, I assume.
Maybe, but it's always horn related.
Play brass music?
Maybe.
I'd say jazz.
My go-to is still Icelandic jazz.
It's specific, and I like it. Lonzo last week, I was in the restroom doing restroom things, and Lonzo comes in and says, Alexa, play Enya, and then he pushes the no voice command button. So I was stuck doing my business in the bathroom listening to Enya for like 15 minutes.
Dude, she's smooth. I mean,
I like Enya, but it's just like, in fairness, if that's the activity you're performing in the moment, Enya's a wonderful choice.
Right.
Keep you nice and relaxed,
Other people might need speed metal when they're in there.
Sometimes it's hard to relax in there.
Yeah, I mean, and if someone were to come in and take the other stall, they're not going to talk during Enya.
Yeah.
So, I mean,
in a weird way, it makes sense. Maybe that's what I need to do at the house in the mornings.
Enya, she'll keep you regular.
Who can help with your pooping? Only Enya. Enya.
That was amazing.
My impromptu parody songs are just... Texter just asked a spectacular question. Could we get this year? Could we get our Tuesday morning college football ranking release read by Bill Brooks? Could we get Bill to do the AP top 25 poll for us every week? Checking it. I can't even pretend to emulate the legend that is Bill Brooks.
See, I don't know that I could get Bill Brooks to do it, but I know I could get Roger Davis to do it.
Roger Davis would be a great read.
Yeah,
I think maybe that's what we do.
They have similar styles, and Roger is more than willing to help out. Maybe we talk to Roger Davis.
The issue we're going to have, I think, is that the AP poll is usually released on Tuesdays about the time we're going off the air. So by the time that Wednesday's show rolls around and we get the opportunity to address that poll week in and week out, it'll be old news. So I think a wonderful way to keep things fresh is to, instead of Rob and Lonzo with their, let's say, phenomenal radio voices, but just not Bill Brooks or Roger Davis.
You could say that our voices are award-winning. You could say that.
I mean, you can.
You can
because
say
they are
3 times if you want. I mean,
because they are.
Roger Davis, more than willing. I
think that might be the play. I think we see if we can get Bill Brooks and/or Roger Davis, maybe both, because I'll play them back to back if you get both of them.
Dude, I can mix it. A little Roger Bill mix up.
I think maybe that's how we introduce the AP Top 25 poll every single week. Is we have a couple of icons. Like, I can try to emulate Roger Davis and Bill Brooks by doing my deep, cool guy announcer voice. But let's be real. It's not the same.
Because both of them are seasoned. And you're not quite to that point of seasoning.
I'm not old yet.
Well, you said that, not me. We're going to go with seasoned.
You were thinking it. And that's fair, because it's true. Hey, speaking of college football, do want to remind you that Furman football, actually, I don't know if I'm in reminding or enlightening, but either way.
I think you're saying it for the first time, so yeah.
Furman Football Fan Fest taking place this Saturday. Gates open at noon. The Furman Paladin football team will be on the field for scrimmage at 1 p.m. Ladies and gentlemen, it is your opportunity to be introduced to the 2024 Furman Paladin football team. It is this Saturday, gates at noon. Team takes for the field for scrimmage at 1 p.m. They will have concession stands open, so you can go grab yourself that first football glizzy of the season. All right?
You should go to Fan Fest, but I suggest you don't go up and say, "Hi, can I have a glizzy?"
Why?
Because you might get smacked.
Or, hear me out, you get that first football glizzy, that first Furman football Paladin glizzy of the season. They're also going to do a post-scrimmage autograph session with the team down on the field. So not only will you be introduced to the 2024 Furman Paladin football team, but on top of that, you'll get to actually be introduced to the 2024 Furman Paladin football team. And oh, by the way, in case none of that was compelling enough to get you out to Paladin Stadium coming up this Saturday for Furman Football Fan Fest. Wonderful use of alliteration there by the Dens. Not only is all that taking place, but here's the best part. It's free. It's free. You just go. Just go. You just go. You park, you walk on in to Paladin Stadium. You're going to get to watch the boys in purple and white lay it down on the field for a couple of minutes. Then you're going to get to go down on the field, introduce yourself to the team, let the team introduce themselves to you, both metaphorically and quite literally, and get your opportunity to go eyes on with the Dens. F you one time, F you two times, F you three times, F you all the time. Furman Paladin Football Fan Fest this Saturday, August 17th. Gates at noon. Team on the field for scrimmage at 1. Concessions open. Post-game scrimmage autographs with the field down on the team. And it is all free with our friends at Furman. By the way, I don't think I've said this yet.
With the team down on the field, by the way.
What'd I say? With the field down on the team?
You did. Yeah.
I mean, what do you want? I've only done this 17 years.
I'm just trying to help before the text line. They're probably already getting ready anyway.
Welcome to my life. Last week, you know what I got to do last week? Last week, great one. I got to put on a high-vis vest and a hard hat and go inside Timmons Arena and see the upgrades they're making.
Are they really called high-vis?
Yeah.
Because they have the glow in the dark. Okay,
yeah,
all right.
Like
I get
neon yellow.
I get it. It literally says what it is,
yeah.
and I've just never heard it said that way.
Not only is it high-vis, but it also encouraged me to add some neon yellow into the wardrobe.
I just thought it was construction workers' vest. I didn't realize that, but
they're high vis.
But your way sounds,
professional,
the sexier, I suppose.
Oh, I like that. I got to put on a very sexy high vis vest and a very sexy hard hat.
You weren't tempted to sing in the Navy, were you?
Hello, ladies. I got to go inside of Timmons Arena and see the upgrades they're making to Paladin Stadium. And I got to tell you, dude, it's going to be freaking sick. Tell you what they did to the stadium. That it is still the intimate Timmons Arena that is a fantastic basketball arena because you're on the court. Right? As a fan, that's fantastic. You're on the court. But this year, the seating will wrap all the way around. It is like full venues, arena style. So the seating goes all the way around, and there is a walking concourse that goes all the way around too. So you'll still come in the main entrance of Timmons Arena, but once you get into the gym, there is a walking concourse that goes all the way around and the seating wraps all the way around, which I think is great because now, like last year, there was a little bit of seating on one end and there was like a small student section on one end. And then on the other side, there were bleachers, but they were kind of back from the court a little bit. And it was kind of a sectioned off. Now it's 360 seats all the way around the court and they're all the way up to the concourse and they're right there on the basket, right? Like they're right on the sideline I got the opportunity to get the behind-the-scenes private tour with our buddy Drew Ingraham, the assistant athletic director at Furman, took me backstage to kind of let me get eyes on what the gym is shaping up to be. And I'm going to tell you, as a basketball dude, this is going to be a highlight venue. It is going to be a phenomenal venue. Got a chance to go. None of it's built in yet. It's all framework still because it's not going to be open this season. Furman, of course, is going to be playing their college basketball downtown at the Well this year. But it will be open for the 2025 season. And I got to tell you, I am freaking excited to see what this gym turns into. So they have luxury boxes up all the way around. And some of them are obviously for people who want to, sponsors who want to purchase a box, but they'll also have some that you can rent out to throw parties and events and whatnot. And those luxury boxes, dude, they're on the court. I was making a joke with Drew that if you're in a luxury box, you're going to be able to like reach over and drop a paper towel and it'll land on Dan Scott's head sitting courtside because it's on the court. It is absolutely incredible. This gym's going to be beautiful. And there's they're keeping the party deck. The party deck is now going to be on the side of the court. So when you're on the party deck, if you rent out the party deck or you just go to a game and go to the party deck, you can grab your brewskis, turn around, walk to the railing, and the railings, again, right at the top of the seats that are vertical onto the court. There is not a bad spot to watch basketball in this gym. I will keep it a buck. When they told me that they were renovating Timmons Arena, I was like, you got a good stadium, man. Like, I understand you want to renovate, you want to upgrade. Let's keep it a buck. College athletics is not just about the athletes anymore. It's about the facilities. This is why you see what I call locker rooms arms race taking place around college football. There's an arms race regarding college sports because these athletes, they want to be wined and dined, right? Like when they come to your arena and your locker room and your facilities, they want to be able to see that the facilities and the amenities that you provide them with are top notch. We went to Clemson open house a couple of weeks ago. And I got a laugh when I was walking down the hallway. They took us from the cafeteria, the athlete cafeteria where they host most of the event. They took us to go meet Dabo in the practice facilities attached to the indoor practice field. And when we were walking down the hallway, they kind of take you on a behind-the-scenes tour, past the locker room, past the players' luxury lounge where all the players hang out after practices and whatnot. And one of the things that we walked by was there is a players-only barbershop in the Clemson football facility, right? And it is a full-sale barbershop, and it's gorgeous, dude. Like, it's beautiful.
When you say players only, does that mean there's no barber there? The players actually?
No, there is someone on site. I don't know if it's like.
So only the players can get their haircut.
Can get their haircut there. Okay. It is a team barbershop. And it's gorgeous, dude. Like if it was a bro cave, you'd be thrilled about it if you were a Clemson fan. It is gorgeous. And so I was walking down the hallway with one of the other members of the media. And I guess it was their first time going to media open house at Clemson. And we walked by it and the guy's like, well, this is why they got to charge so much for tickets, I guess. And I was like, dude, you think a barbershop is it? Think a barbershop is it? There are some of these schools that have full sale massage parlors, like entire spas just for the football players. When you are looking at being a top-notch program, when players come in, they want to see that they are going to be living a life of luxury. That's why you got barbershops and you got spas and salons. That's why you got restaurants that are open almost 24/7 for these players that serve nicer food than has ever been placed on my kitchen table. And y'all, Rob Brown can cook, all right? Rob Brown can cook. I got a little bit of that Cajun magic in me. Ooh, I'm about to make a name for myself. All right? I can cook. The food that they put out, unbelievable. When we were there, they put out like a pecan-crusted glazed salmon fillet. Some of the best damn fish I've ever had in my life. And I eat fish all the time. I was like, oh, dude, you should not be able to mass produce this on demand. That's not all right. Players want to feel like the facilities that they are in are luxury. So I saw Timmons Arena and what they're doing to it, and I'm like, yep, Furman's about to have an easier time recruiting basketball players because this stadium is going to be beautiful when they are done. Texture said, Rob Brown, I guarantee. I'm telling you, you got to hit it. You got to hit it with that Emeril Lagasse. Bam! When you put that spice on a shot. Ooh. You know who cooks up something fancy in the kitchen with the sports flash? Chef Lonzo.
The Atlanta Braves knocked off the San Francisco Giants 1-0 in a 10-inning contest last night. Chris Sale worked 7 innings, giving up just 3 hits and striking out a dozen. But the win went to Raisal Iglesias, who went unhit with 4 Ks in 2 innings. Travis d'Arnaud knocked in Orlando Arcia from the Ghost Runners spot in the 10th for the win. The Braves are now a full game up on the Mets for second in the East and 7 back of Philly. College football AP Top 25 was released yesterday with very few surprises at the top. The Georgia Bulldogs are number 1, collecting 46 first votes, outpacing number 2 Ohio State with 15, and third place Oregon with only 1. Texas and Alabama round out the top 5. Make sure you tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for our brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Diesel get you up to date on all the latest local and sports news. That's all Wire to Wire. Hi, Shane. Zach, you're absolutely right.
Enya makes everything Enya and outcha. That's excellent. We're just on a marketing hot streak right now on the show this AM. It's beautiful.
If we were in sales, we'd be killing it.
I'm telling you.
now.
You know what? I have to check on Spotify. There are All of these are playlists that people have built entitled things like music for pooping, songs to help you poop, songs for pooping, music to poop to.
Aren't you interested in? Are you looking up any of the playlists to see
I'm
what
looking at the
songs?
top rated playlist right now. Okay, this one's just an awesome 80s mix. They're all like just classic music.
Well, people have time on their hands while they're sitting there and probably think, what it's probably just people's favorite songs. I don't think it's
it pretty much is. I figured there'd be one that's like smooth jazz, easy listening playlist.
Right.
Regular pen. Drop it. Okay, drop it. Well, that's upsetting.
Would you drop?
I didn't drop it, but I can't find the pen to my tablet.
Sure you didn't take it with you when you left the room?
No, I'm not. Oh, why is the ground so far away?
Because you're tall.
Did I take it with me?
People who are 5'2" don't say that.
Yo, what the hell, bro?
You're really going to, okay. Okay. No, you don't.
I did take it with me. I don't know why. What if?
Yeah, because you're usually, not like that. I knew he did because I'm Batman.
Here we go. Item number 3.
Wow. Dude. What is going on? You don't feel a tingling in your forearm or something. It just, you don't smell like fudge. I'm trying to think of all the things that they say are signs that,
I'm good. Let's just chalk it up to being Tuesday and let's try that whole thing over.
It was a quick jaunt to the office and back. Maybe too much air up in there or something. I don't know.
It's the most exercise I've gotten in weeks. Ahem. Me. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Hour number 3 of the Rob Brown Show starts right now. This is the Fan Upstate. Howdy, y'all. Welcome in. Rob Brown, the Great Lonzo with you this morning. The foremost electrifying hours of sports talk entertainment you'll find anywhere rolls on. We have talked so far this morning. The AP College Football Top 25 has been released. Georgia sits alone atop the poll. More first place votes than Ohio State by 31. The Buckeyes did get 15 of them. They check in second place. Oregon steps in at number 3. Texas at number 4. Alabama number 5. This is one of those fun spots that as a radio guy, you go, any surprises, any shocks, any disappointment, who's too high and who's too low in the AP Top 25? While we all know that it doesn't matter because there's a dozen games between here and the final poll being released roughly 17 weeks from Saturday. So it's a discussion that has a lot of football left ahead of us, but also we've still got 11 days, 3 hours, 57 minutes, and 32 seconds until toe meets leather.
Why is Oregon at 3?
Because of a number of reasons, not the least of which is going to be that the Ducks are good this year. The Ducks are good. Dan Lanning is, I think, a dude. Well, I don't think. I've been done trying to tell y'all. Dan Lanning is a dude. And Dan Lanning, here's how much of a dude Dan Lanning is. Lonzo, if Ryan Day loses to Michigan this year, what happens?
what should have happened probably a year ago.
And that is?
He fired.
You're fired. Dan Lanning. There it is. As shocking and frankly silly as it might be, there is a belief, and I really thought lovingly and respectfully that Lonzo was a little aggressive on the Ryan Day gets canned if he loses to Michigan again takes. I thought that was a little not. I just thought it was a little not. Yet, the more I have perused various college football discussion boards across the World Wide Web, the more I have realized Lonzo is not only not alone in that way of thinking amongst the horse chestnut fans, but the horse chestnut fans, there's a large population of them who have actually thought it's good to say publicly that if Ryan Day can't get it done against the Michigan Wolverines this year, that they would be willing, it may demand that the horse chestnuts move on past Ryan Day. That being said, if Ryan Day does indeed end up losing his job because for no reason at all, you should beat Michigan this year, for no reason at all, drops, what did they do, 4 straight to the bucket or to the Wolverines?
I don't know. I'm blocking it from memory.
That's fair. If Ryan Day drops what I believe would be his 4th consecutive game to the Michigan Wolverines, and the Ohio State University was to move on from Ryan Day, Dan Lanning's the guy I think replaces him.
Well, so one of the biggest early matchups, I guess, in college football will be October 12th. Then if Oregon is legitimately at 3, because it will be number 2 Ohio State versus number 3 Oregon.
I think Oregon is absolutely a justified number 3. Now, Oregon's not without its fair share of question marks. Dylan Gabriel coming in to be the 2024 starter. On one hand, got to replace Captain Checkdown Bo Nix. On the other hand, most people think Dylan Gabriel is going to be better than Bo Nix. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. I don't think so. And this is part of the reason I am very high on the Oregon Ducks. Part of the reason why is I'm not super impressed with Bo Nix at Oregon. I think Bo Nix was a fine quarterback. Okay, was a fine quarterback. I don't think he's anything spectacular. I think Bo Nix was coached around by Dan Lanning. I think the Oregon Ducks, who you will remember lost 2 games last year. Who were those 2 games to? The Washington Huskies and then the Washington Huskies. A team that, again, you will also recall, participated in the 2023 College Football National Championship game last year, where they were defeated by Jim Harbaugh and the Michigan Wolverines. I think Dan Lanning coached around Bo Nix. I think Bo Nix was good. This isn't me saying Bo Nix wasn't a good college football quarterback. He was a good college football quarterback. I just don't think he was a great. In fact, I think if you flipped, and I know I'm not going out on a big limb here, if you flipped Bo Nix and Michael Penix Jr. last year, I think you would have also flipped the results of Washington and Oregon last year.
Who has a harder time this year? The teams that are entering, that are joining the Big Ten, or the teams that are joining the SEC?
The teams that are joining the SEC.
You think so?
Yeah, I do. And I'll tell you why. Because Georgia's there. Because I might be the only one, I don't think Alabama's taking a step back at all. In fact, if anything, I think Alabama might take a step forward because I very much believe that Kalen DeBoer is a not good, great football coach.
We'll see. I don't believe it till I see it. I believe has to be a drop off. There has to be.
Why does there have to be?
That was the greatest college football coach of all time, just left.
I don't disagree. I also think it was the greatest college football coach of all time who was at a point where the game had begun, and I'm not talking about the game between the sticks. I'm talking about the game off of it. I think he got to a point where the game had changed so much that, frankly, he just wasn't the same cat anymore. Still exceptional, still Nick Saban, but I think it had gotten to the point where the frustrations of what college football was becoming off the field maybe started to impact Saban on it just a little bit, though that is arguable because whether or not they deserve to be, Alabama was in the playoffs last year.
All right, so my next thought is the Nick Saban coaching tree. How successful have they been? You got Kirby Smart, successful,
pretty good.
Mark D'Antonio,
yeah. Lane Kiffin,
Steve
Sarkisian, who's got a team that's in the top 3.
But Jimbo Fisher, I mean, he
won a national
championship.
Granted, only because he had Jameis Winston, and if he didn't, he would have been nothing at Florida State, just like he was nothing at Texas A&M, like I said he would be. You're welcome, Aggies. Should have listened to me, but the number one motif of a cult is that they don't listen to anyone from outside the cult.
All right, I'm trying to figure out if it balances out. Mario Cristobal.
Successful, I would argue.
Yeah, okay.
We'll see what he does at Miami this year.
Dan Lanning.
Very successful. I think if Ryan Day loses, Dan Lanning comes to Ohio State.
Billy Napier.
Not successful at all. Well, that's not true. Successful at a lower level, but has not been successful at UF.
Mike Locksley. Maryland.
Hey, I can't say a lot of good about Maryland.
Okay, Brent Key.
I love Brent Key. I loved it. This dude's a dude. Brent Key's the guy. We talked to him not this past year. Colin Diesel talked to him this past year. Last year at ACC Media Days, because he came for his interviews while we were on in the old time slide. Brent Key I got no love for Georgia Tech other than they're like the fun little brother in the ACC. You know, you always beat up on them, but you still love them kind of way. I love Georgia Tech in that way. Brent Key had me ready to run through a damn wall for him a year and a half ago. Because you'd love him too, Zoe. He's just an offensive lineman who's now a head coach.
All right, I'm just going to pick some random ones here. Butch Jones.
Successful
Because it's Saban. It's been a lot of guys. All right, Will Muschamp.
No.
Brian Daboll.
All right, coaching the Giants right now. And that's the end of that sentence. He's coaching the Giants right now.
Josh McDaniels.
As a coordinator.
Okay, Pat Shurmur.
I couldn't tell you. What's Pat Shurmur's career record? I don't know off the top of my head.
It was not good. Adam Gase.
No.
So here's the thing, Freddie Kitchens.
Freddie Kitchens is another one of those guys like coordinator, okay. Coach, nah.
So what I'm saying is I don't know that it's even, but it seems like there are more bad coaches than there were good coaches from the tree.
I'd say there's more average coaches.
Well, okay. All right. But average won't work in Alabama. That's what I'm saying. So this guy.
I don't disagree, but literally last year, this man coached a Pac-12 team to a national championship game. They got blown out, but they also had to beat an SEC team to get there.
Okay. Explain to me what the Pac-12 is, because I don't know what that is.
Let me tell you youngsters about when I was growing up watching college football. Back in my day watching college football, back when if you wanted to watch a game, you had to walk a mile in the snow uphill both ways. The TV was 5 inches wide and it was black and white.
Okay, Grandpa, you're saying there was a time when football was regional?
Let me tell you about a thing called the Pac-12.
So all like the West Coast teams played together against each other?
And only against other teams in the West Coast. Y'all now got these fancy aeroplanes.
So you're doing.
We used to have to take a train to practice.
So you're doing.
Why am I turning into Jerry Seinfeld for no reason?
Yeah, but it more
What's
sounds
the
like
deal with airline food?
It more sounds like Dickie V trying to do Jerry Seinfeld. So I mean, it's just weird, a weird visual.
The Dapper Dandy. Texas said, I know we're a few weeks away, but can we stop preseason ranking college football teams? I'm already foreshadowing the stupid overrating and underrating. Let's keep it a buck. You know this already. I'm not breaking any new ground here, but I'll address it anyway. There is one reason and one reason alone that we do preseason records or rankings, dudes.
There's a Bonnie Raitt song about it. Let's give them something to talk about.
Yeah, I was trying to figure out how I was going to work it into a like a segment phrase there, you know? Because the college football powers that be look at all of us out here in Sportslandia and say, let's give them something to talk about, a little something to figure out. Let's give them something to talk about. How about rankings? That's it. That's it. Because it gives us something to talk about, A, and B, because when week 0 rolls around, which sounds more interesting?
Just want to say I am the point guard of this show.
Love. Gotta love Bonnie Raitt, dude. I saw her in concert with James Taylor last year. Mwah.
Dishing it off so Rob can get all the glory.
You're like the Steph Curry of the show.
He gets to shoot. Well, I guess I do hit a 3 every once in a while.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do it.
I don't have my hero songs queued up.
Yeah, I actually forgot to save the Steph sounder.
I still have it, but I'm not playing it.
Stephen Curry.
You talking about the one that you stole from me?
Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry.
I'm start calling you Cole Bryson now.
Stephen Curry. My dog. Anyway, what sounds Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry. I was ready to go for it. I was ready to go for it.
I have like 32 seconds of it. I could not take 32 seconds.
He earned it.
That. So,
he earned it.
Okay. All right.
He earned it. That's like a point. That's like a second per point that he averaged in the last 2 games.
If you say so. But I agree with the texter. The preseason polls are useless, but they're a guideline to get people who don't follow football or the casuals, as Rob says.
The casuals.
Who are getting ready to get back into it because maybe they have a little something that they do on the side, little bets or something, or they just like to get together with their friends and tailgate. They want to at least act like they have some knowledge about what's going on. And while these things are usually in some ways very inaccurate, near the top, they're usually pretty good.
Let me set the layup for you. Here's why we have preseason rankings in a nutshell. Because what sounds better? Coming up this Saturday at noon from Dublin, Ireland, it's week 0 college football as the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets try to upset the number 10 ranked Florida State Seminoles. Or coming up this Saturday, live in Dublin, Ireland at noon, it's week 0, game 1 kickoff as the Georgia Tech Yellow Jackets take on the Florida State Seminoles. Which one sounds better? When you throw the number 10 ranked Florida State Seminoles in there, now all of the sudden there's stakes involved. Do they matter all that much? I mean, they do, in that Florida State, by way of starting number 10, has a leg up on a team that's starting, say, number 18. It's a lot easier to maybe drop a game along the line and still be in those 12 spots than it is if you're starting at 18 or 20 or hell, 14 like Clemson is. So it makes it where there's stakes. I attended communications school. Okay. And one of the things there's 2 things that always stuck with me. 2 lessons that I got out of college that, while I'm not always good at it, because it is hard to be good at these things, there's 2 things that I got. The first thing is prime your audience. And the second thing is make sure there are stakes to your story. Prime your audience means saying something as a theme over and over to the point where when you stop saying it, your audience still thinks it, right? When you stop saying that thing, they still think it. Number 2.
All right, comrade. That sounds like conditioning.
No, it absolutely is. Welcome to the world of communications, Lonzo. Everything you've had, TV shows, advertisements, movies, music, they are all designed to get you into a pattern because we are pattern-seeking apes. That's what we are. The second thing.
Playing dumb is my pattern.
100%. You establish a character that is priming your audience so that you, years down the road, don't have to come on and go, hi, I are Lonzo. Lonzo, our game in Pawn of Life. You just be Lonzo, And the audience is used to your character. They know you. The second thing is you introduce and you establish and you exaggerate the stakes. The greatest movies you've ever watched all have very high stakes. Well, by putting a preseason ranking next to a team, now there are stakes involved. If FSU wants to remain a top 10 team, now this Georgia Tech game has a ton of weight to it. It feels like there's stakes involved. That's why we have preseason rankings. Texture said preseason rankings are like the pirate code. We're like guidelines. It's very fair. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show on the Fan Upstate.
You see.
All right, guys, one more live and we're back. Stay right there, please, and thank you. Yes, Shane, welcome to the show. That's just kind of how it is.
Award-winning squirrels. I hate squirrels. Right. I have ninja squirrels. They try to drop them nuts on top of your head. Luckily, they're not very accurate. Daggone.
Absolutely going to this show.
Doubt it.
Unless it's the weekend I'm getting married, like every other concert coming through here.
And Joe Henry.
August, nope, that's oh no, that's okay. That's college football week 0. There's no real big games that night.
No, you'll be gone when Joe Henry comes to town.
Yes, I will. And when Hootie and the Blowfish come, and when Weezer come, and when
Hootie's
Emo
always
Radio
around
Room
here
comes.
somewhere. I mean,
I've never seen Weezer. Love Weezer. Never seen Weezer.
are they still Weezer though? 'Cause
Yes.
They're old. They're no longer. I mean,
So
they're,
was Blink, and that show rocked. Champion of life. Just leave that up for the rest of the show. With that picture next to it, it's just perfect.
it is.
I figured out the turn, by the way. It's not just a turn. You gotta swing the back left.
Right. There's
It's a whole.
There's a video up of.
I've been doing that around the house. It's driving Courtney crazy.
There's a video up of a kid coming to meet him, and the kid kept doing it, and he kept
Yeah.
doing it back, and it's back and forth. It's great.
I've been doing it around the house anytime Courtney calls my name, and she's like, "Why? Why are you doing that?"
Do you say because you believe?
No, I haven't told her yet. I'm not telling her yet. Not only is Hootie in this area, but Hootie's in this area for the first time since I've lived here, and it is literally on the night that I'm
What do
getting
you
married.
consider this area?
The
I
upstate.
mean, he does his golf outing.
He's in
every
Columbia
year,
all the time. No,
Right.
right, but not playing shows.
but they usually do a show after the golf outing. I believe.
He has not played one in the upstate since I've been here because
Well, not the
I would have
upstate.
been there.
You will drive to Columbia. It's not that far. Come on.
That is also true.
New life in the next break.
10-4. Hootie's playing the night I get married. Weezer's playing, I think, either 2 nights before or 2 nights after. I won't be here for them.
Steven, that would be Slappy Squirrel. She's better than all those other squirrels combined from Animaniacs.
That's a good pick. That's an underdog pick, but a good pick. I think I'm gonna go with the OG Rocky. Because Bullwinkle's just Scooby-Doo but a moose. He never really does anything to help. He just kind of accidentally stumbles into a solution
He
every now and
pulls
then.
things other than rabbits
Rocky
out
does
of
the
his
work.
hat. Slappy Squirrel and the Woodstock skit, one of my favorites of all time.
Somebody the other day posted a reel of all of the very adult jokes in the Animaniacs cartoon. It's wild what they got away with, dude. Screaming through hour number 3 of the Rob Brown radio program right here on the Fan Upstate. I mean, sure. Not incorrect.
You said you were screaming through.
Yeah,
which,
no,
I mean,
that's why I said fair. It's very fair. Yesterday, got the opportunity to talk to John Blau of the Post and Courier. He covers the Clemson Tigers. Joins us every Monday at 8:40. If you're a fan of Los Tigres, you're going to want to be here every single Monday for 8:40 as we talk to John Blau, and that's why he doesn't talk to Lonzo on the phone right there. He knows. He's heard it.
Good.
Anyway, we asked him about the lawsuit update. Florida State and the ACC are scheduled for mediation in the court case that FSU lobbied against the ACC down in Leon County, Florida, where Tallahassee is located. We asked John for an update on that. How is that going to impact Clemson? And he said effectively what I expected him to say, which is, yeah, Clemson's going to watch this closely, right? They're going to watch this closely to see if the judge in South Carolina was to follow suit. But there's also the second issue, which is that the judge overseeing the Clemson lawsuit against the NCAA that was filed in Pickens County, South Carolina, said that ESPN, scratch that, the ACC did not include a venue clause within their contract with Clemson. And he therefore believes that the lawsuit Clemson filed against the ACC in South Carolina should proceed in South Carolina. John Blau basically said a venue clause says basically that the ACC does a lot of business in South Carolina. Of course, that business is ACC football at Clemson, right? They host a lot of games here every single year. A lot of the money gets funneled from Clemson back to the ACC because of the games that take place here every single year. And so by being willing to do business in South Carolina, as the ACC is and does, that if they wanted all of the legal issues they might face regarding their business in South Carolina to be handled in North Carolina, which is what the ACC's lawsuit against Clemson and Florida State alleges, that those lawsuits should be taking place in Charlotte, North Carolina, at the HQ of the ACC, not in courts that are effectively next door to the schools in question. That the ACC should have included in the contracts with the schools a clause that the schools would have had to have agreed to that says if there are any legal disputes regarding your ACC involvement, that you will agree that those legal disputes are to be settled in Charlotte, North Carolina, not, well, anywhere else, frankly. Nowhere that might be more friendly to you. But the judge in Pickens County said that's not what happened. The ACC would have had the right to establish a venue clause that said, hey, Clemson, hey, Florida State, Miami, North Carolina, whoever else, should you wish to bring any sort of legal issue up to or against us, you are obligated to do it in North Carolina, where the Atlantic Coast Conference headquarters are located. They didn't do that. Had Clemson, had Florida State signed a contract with the ACC that did say that, then these court cases in Leon County and Pickens County never would have happened. They would have taken place in Charlotte, North Carolina, as the ACC is currently arguing that they should. But the judges in both Tallahassee and Pickens County both said, no, you are doing business with a school located in Leon County in the state of Florida, with a school located in Pickens County in the state of South Carolina. And those two entities have every right as much, I should say, have every right to have these court cases held in their state as you have to hold it in yours. They have every right that you do regarding giving themselves the opportunity to win. Well, the court wouldn't say giving themselves the opportunity to win, but that's basically what this argument is about, right? Clemson and Florida State both want their courts to host this lawsuit because they will basically have a home field advantage. The ACC wants to host this lawsuit in Mecklenburg County so that they have a home field advantage. A business lawyer, or a business judge, I should say, a business court in North Carolina, if one of them is going to be impartial, or not impartial, is going to be biased one way or the other, a court in North Carolina is likely going to be more kind to a major business entity located in North Carolina than it is to a business entity outside of North Carolina that has filed a suit that would be damaging to the entity in North Carolina. Just like a court in Pickens County, South Carolina, is more likely to be beneficial to an entity in Pickens County, South Carolina, than it is to a business entity in Charlotte, North Carolina. Just like a business entity in Tallahassee and Leon County would probably find more favor with a business court in Leon County than they would with a business court in Mecklenburg. So the two judges basically, well, the judge in South Carolina has basically said, yeah, Clemson has every much as a right to host this lawsuit as the ACC does, which means that lawsuit is likely going to go forward. But they are also going to likely watch what is happening down in Tallahassee. Remember, if a school intends to exit the ACC after this sporting season, it must declare so by Thursday. FSU and the ACC are slated to begin mediation and negotiate in good faith to find a settlement in the middle this week, yesterday, today, or tomorrow. Now, is that enough time for them to reach an agreement before Thursday's deadline? Legit, probably not, because we are talking about a settlement that will likely be in the hundreds of millions of dollars. If Florida State finds a way, does that mean that Clemson can figure out how to get a paper signed by Thursday? I doubt that as well. But the longer Clemson and Florida State stay in the ACC, their argument, the more difficult it will be for them to remain relevant. We'll talk more about this as it develops. The Rob Brown Show rolls on. It's the Fan Upstate.
New life.
All right, guys, last read. Stay right there for me. All right, we back, dudes and dudettes. And yes, James, that is the most iconic Animaniacs joke that I thought of. That was on a reel that I watched yesterday. Don't forget your knee brace. God, I feel called out right now.
What in the world? What? Huh? I just sent you something on Twitter. I hope that's not real. Maybe, or maybe I do hope it's real. When you get a chance to look at it, you will understand my bewilderment.
Bewilderment. Did you listen with the audio on?
No.
All right.
We don't have time. It's a commercial. It's
got to be a parody, but I love it.
I'm willing to give it a shot. I can push a button.
Yeah, we're going for it. So you all remember in the run-up to his selection by the Tennessee Titans, quarterback Will Levis from the University of Kentucky. There was a story that went round that Will Levis liked to take a spoonful of mayonnaise and stir it into his coffee. And that story really took off. Now, Levis, if I recall correctly, did say after the draft that it was kind of a bit of a joke, started to get kind of momentum, and he decided he was just going to have fun and tell everybody that it was true, despite the fact that it is not, which is exactly what I expect someone who stirs mayo into their coffee to say. They go, oh, that is, okay, actually, now that I think about it, it is a little weird. Maybe I should pretend that that's not true, because I'd rather be called a liar than be called a guy who stirs mayo into his coffee. But he leaned into it. It was fun. It was a good little run-up. We all enjoyed it there for a brief few minutes. Well, Lonzo found a post from a X account under the name Justin M. NFL, who is an NFL draft reporter for the Draft Network and covers the Tennessee Titans for a couple of different broadcasting outlets. My man's got 17,000 followers across Twitter. So whether it's a parody account or not, I don't know. What I do know, and Lonzo found it just mere seconds before we came back on the air, is that this individual has posted a tweet. The tweet reads, Titans quarterback Will Levis and Hellman's Mayonnaise released a cologne crying emoji. Now, attached to that is what appears to be a commercial for Hellman's Mayonnaise cologne endorsed by Titans quarterback Will Levis. Lonzo and I are about to do something that is very frowned upon in radio, but neither of us cares at all. We are going to run the audio from this commercial. Now, to give you kind of a setup, because I just watched it without the audio. It begins with Will Levis in a white dress shirt that is unbuttoned all the way down, his wonderful six-pack showing all the way through the commercial. And it begins with this very dramatic slow motion Joe Hendry turn. And then it progresses to him drinking mayo out of a mayo jar. And then it progresses to him lounge six-pack out on a lawn chair, eating a sandwich slathered in mayo, yada, yada, yada. So that's the image I want you to see in your head as we listen to this. But we're going to play this audio without screening it at all. Assuming that it's a parody commercial, but really hoping it's not.
They try to define you, but you are the ingredient to your own success. Luscious, eggy, smell like greatness. Will Levis, number 8, Parfum de Mayonnaise.
By the way,
What a performance.
If you look underneath, you will see that this was originally tweeted by Hellman's. So this is a commercial.
Parfum de mayonnaise.
You got to see the video, people. You really do. It caused me to react in a way.
Aroused?
No, reacted. I said something. I usually watch things and don't say anything, but bewilderment, I think, was the word that I used.
So let's go back to this. Last year, because of the mayo and coffee thing,
Which
Levis,
Diesel actually tried, by the way.
Yeah, I recall that. Will Levis put up a video on his Twitter account leading up to the draft. It was from the draft combine, I believe, where he actually talked about it, and he actually did put a squeeze of the Hellman's mayo into his coffee, stir it up and drink it in front of reporters. Well, shortly after that, Will Levis signed a lifetime sponsorship with Hellman's Real Mayonnaise.
Way to go, dude. Lifetime.
Get that bag, son.
That is awesome.
Get that bag and or a lifetime supply of Hellman's mayo.
That is using marketing power. Right
you a
there.
mayo guy?
We've had these discussions. I do not worship.
I know, but we refresh the audience. It's your opportunity to introduce yourself.
I'm waiting for you to introduce your cult. So I like mayonnaise. I don't go, you know what? I got to buy me some daggum mayonnaise. No, if we have it, if it comes on, love it on a BLT. I think you got to have it on a BLT for it to be effective. But I'm not it's not my condiment of choice.
Smell like greatness. I am
want
a mayo
some
guy.
of that perfume if it actually exists, the cologne. So
Miss Lisa's gonna love it. You're gonna drive her up the walls, bud. She's never gonna be so attracted to you as when you smell like Will Levis and Hellman's mayo.
I was just gonna buy it and spray it in the bathroom. Actually, I mean,
No. You save that for the romance nights with Miss Lisa. She's gonna go bananas over the great one.
Or maybe I'll do a drive-by. I'll run into the Rise Guys studio while they're on air and just spray them all with it.
I don't know why you're making this out to be a joke, Lonzo. This man just released number 8 Parfum de Mayonnaise. This man is trying to help out the love lives of men across America, and you're out here making jokes like it's some kind of gag. This could be a game changer. If you are at home and you've been thinking to yourself, man, me and the wife, we're in a bit of cold streak right now. We're missing out on the bow chicka bow wow time. Adult recreational activities have been at a minimum lately, and you're looking for the fix right now. Will Levis just gave it to you, boys.
If you're driving down 276 right now, roll down your window at a certain point and do that and think, man, if that was a cologne.
Ladies,
he doesn't get it, but if you've been on 276, you know what's there.
tell me right now, ladies of the Rob Brown Show Armada, that if your fella was to say, hey, babe, it's date night tonight, and you get ready and you put on that great little black dress and those heels that you only break out for the special date nights, and he comes out of that room in that look you like, you know the one, like the nice dress pants. He's got that dress shirt with the sleeves rolled up to show a little forearm, because that's what the ladies love, right? And he comes out and you walk over and he goes, you ready, babe? And he picks up the keys. And as he opens the door for you, you just get just a subtle trace of Will Levis number 8 Parfum de Mayonnaise. Tell me you're not going to go, babe, cancel dinner reservations. The only reservations you need to worry about are in the bedroom right now.
All right, courtesy of foodandwine.com, Hellman's has partnered with Tennessee Titans quarterback Will Levis to release Will Levis number 8, a fragrance based on the smell of Hellman's signature product. The just released scent combines hints of tart lemon, coffee, musk, vanilla, and something the company is calling mayonnaise accord.
I'm telling you right now, in about when this comes out, when this mayo hits the shelves, when this cologne hits the shelves, I need to know what date it is, because I'm making a prediction, a prognostication right now. When this cologne hits the shelves, 9 months later, there is going to be a baby boom across the United States of America. I've heard politicians complaining about a low birth rate. Will Levis just solved that problem with 3 sprays of Will Levis number 8 Parfum de Mayonnaise. It's going to be spectacular. There's only one problem with it. There's only one issue with it.
Available online starting August 13th.
August 13th.
That is today.
That is today. So let's go August 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. May 13th, 2025. There's going to be a baby boom across this country. And those babies are going to be named Helma. They're going to be named Mayo. There's going to be a baby boom across America because the ladies are about to just be overwhelmed by us. Fellas, if you have been worried about a lackluster love life, Will Levis has just solved the problem.
By the way, went to the site. You can order it now. It is $8 a bottle.
I might be breaking out. I might be breaking this out for wedding night.
It's a 30 milliliter bottle, so that's pretty big. I think
it's pretty standard cologne bottle size. I'm not a cologne guy. I used to be a big cologne guy. I used to have a collection of colognes. Used to be a big cologne guy. Not so much anymore. The fiance is one of these gals that like has a hyper smell where if the smell's overwhelming, I can't light candles in the house unless she's out of town.
Yeah, me too. I completely get it.
Yeah.
That's the reason why I don't do it. And bears. I've heard that bears are attracted to cologne. So yeah.
I don't know about that. I don't live where I got a big bear issue that I can't smell nice. Just a lady friend who's not appreciative. And that's fine. I get it. Like that's a reaction. I'm just saying wedding night, bells will be ringing, and she might meet me at the end of the aisle and go, wow.
Dude, we've been looking for what we want to get Cole and Diesel for Christmas. How about a bottle of that for each of them?
There is. And again, there's only one issue with Will Levis number 8 Parfum de Mayonnaise. And that issue is, Will, you should have picked Duke's. If this was a Duke's cologne.
Wow. It took him long enough. That's why I almost didn't bring it up because of that. Because when you're a part of a cult, you have to proselytize eventually. You got to work it in there.
Wait. I trust the ladies of the Rob Brown Show Armada. All right. The lady members of the Armada, They are all P1s.
I won't smell like helmets. I won't smell like daggum Dukes.
And Tiger Pal Rachel just wrote the show and said, Rob, I'd feel that way if it was Dukes, not helmets.
Yeah.
And that's commendable because while I appreciate and respect helmets, and if there's no Dukes, helmets is a fine second option. All right? Fine second option.
I'm going to get Leah Remini on the phone so she can help you guys get out of this.
There's no cult.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just have to recognize that objectively, thing A is better than thing B. Objectively.
Sometimes. Give my mayonnaise.
Sometimes thing A is objectively better than thing. Rolex is objectively better than Timex. And that's not a shot at Timex. That's just a compliment to Rolex.
We're having a good time. You had to ruin it with your cult talk.
Not ruined.
Ruined with cult talk.
Not ruined. What I'm saying
you know one thing Dukes doesn't have that Hellman's does? Cologne.
Well, as Keegan just brought up, Dukes people, if you're listening, I want you to know that I am ready today, right now. I got the pen right here. I am ready to sign the contract to become not just the voice of Duke's Mayo in the upstate of South Carolina, not just the voice of Duke's Mayo across these, don't ruin my promo, across these great United States. I am ready to be the official endorser of Duke's Mayo Cologne. And I think I can pull you just as many customers as Will Levis can. All right, Dukes, you ready to go to the moon? You ready to go to the top? Me, you, the Parfum des Dukes. With Rob Brown as your face, we're going to the moon, baby. We're going to the moon after Lonzo does this sports flash. How did my mouth just stop working?
Baby, you smell just like Dukes.
Hater.
College football AP Top 25 was released yesterday with very few surprises. At the top, the Georgia Bulldogs are number 1, collecting 46 first-place votes, outpacing number 2 Ohio State with 15, and third place Oregon with 1. Texas and Alabama round out the top 5, followed by Ole Miss, Notre Dame, Penn State, Michigan, and FSU. Clemson was ranked 14th, 1 spot behind LSU and 1 ahead of Tennessee. The Atlanta Braves knocked off the San Francisco Giants 1-0 in a 10-inning contest last night. Chris Sale worked 7 innings, giving up just 3 hits and striking out 8 dozen. The Braves are now a full game up on the Mets for second in the East and 7 back of Philly. Tune in this afternoon from 3 to 7 p.m. for a brand new local show, Wire to Wire. Cole Bryson and Dees will get you up to date on the latest local and national sports news. Great guests, great debate, a whole lot of fun, all Wire to Wire. Keegan, excuse me, sir. Excuse me. The Duke is John Wayne. Okay. All right. All right. That's all I'm saying. Some people out there don't know who John Wayne is, but some people do. Exactly. And it wouldn't have been Duke's, though. I mean, unless he owned part of the company. Don't make me have to defend John Wayne. Wesley, here's the thing. In radio, something's brand new till it's not. I might say it's brand new like 5 years from now, just because. We're brand new to this time slot. Of course, we haven't been here a year, but I mean, brand new to me is probably a couple months, but radio works differently. And sometimes I rail sarcastically against the powers that be because it makes me feel mighty. Down with the man, up with the people. Yeah.
For the record, the Rob Brown Show was the newest addition to the Fan Upstate lineup for like 3 years.
We're not the only ones who do that. All radio does that. It's like in the bylaws or something. I don't know. let's face it, how many things do I do that are not trolling at some degree? I mean, you know. And I did write that part, and it's an excellent promo, but if I'm asked to write promos, I don't know how. So, I mean, you know. And I do believe that Cole and Rob would wear mayonnaise cologne. I don't think Diesel would do it. Of course, I am told that I actually did wear high karate before. So, I mean, there's that. Got it for Christmas like in 1983 or something. Go ahead. Use my name, Wesley. Yeah, that's power.
Why?
I'm not saying.
Okay.
Welcome
back.
Keep you guessing for an hour.
The final hour of the Rob Brown Radio Show is underway, my dudes and dudettes. Wonderful to have you. I am Rob Brown, the great Lonzo on the ones and twos this AM.
We just did a segment about mayonnaise cologne,
and I gotta say,
we're done. I mean, we're finished.
We kind of nailed it, man. We kind of nailed it, if I may say so myself. Hellman's Will Levis number 8 Parfum de Mayonnaise. For the record, I feel like we should just buy a bottle for the station. Just everybody put it on, tell no one else in this building, walk circles, see who says anything.
Well, I'll put a couple bucks towards it if you order it.
How much did it cost? You looked it up.
It was $8.
$8?
Yeah.
It was $8
for the number 8. That's what it says.
Oh, buying it now.
Yeah, it's
buying it today. Are you kidding me? That's it. I thought that was going to be like, $50-$60 a bottle. $8? They got to be doing like a limited supply.
Dude, I put it in my cart just to see if it would go in my cart.
Yeah.
And it was $8. I didn't see how much shipping and handling was, but still.
We got it. We got to do it. We got to do it, right? Like that's.
I mean, I've seen you dish out some serious cash for sunglasses after Coach Prime. This is market research.
Yeah,
right
$60 for sunglasses was nothing. $8 for a bottle of Mayo.
Don't you
Parfum.
really want to know what it smells like?
I'm not kidding.
Yeah, me too.
This is not a joke. This is not a joke. This is serious. We got to. I just feel like we got to do it. I just feel like we got to do it at this point. I can't imagine not going through with this at this point.
Well, yeah, I mean, and then we can put it on the stream. It's market research. We'll tell you how good it smells or doesn't. I don't know.
I feel like we have to.
I secretly hope it's like stink spray. You ever see those little stink bomb things that are made out of glass? And if you
oh yeah,
I hope it smells like that.
You know what I used to do is if somebody that statute of limitations are over. I used to have a bunch of those. And if somebody like parked across lines, like parked like a jerk, I would break one and pour it into the bottom of the windshield.
Where the
air conditioner filters.
Yeah. We discovered those when I was working at Kroger's, and one of the guys who was the union rep threw them at the president of the company during a rally when we were getting ready to go on strike. Yeah, it was nasty.
Deserved.
I don't know. If you say so, I wouldn't do that. But I had them thrown at me before. They smell really bad. So hopefully this at least smells like that. It probably smells pleasant. But if it has a coffee smell to it, I don't know. And tart lemon, the combination just it's worth $8 though.
It is worth $8. It is absolutely worth $8. There is absolutely no doubt about that. Duke's Mayo, nope, Hellman's Mayo, pardon me. Second place Mayo.
Can't help it.
Second place Mayo has opened up a cologne, pardon me, a cologne with Will Levis, the quarterback of the Tennessee Titans. That is a combination of football player and Mayo. And the answer is, ladies, how gaga are you going for the guys when they roll up out of the shower smelling like Duke's Mayo or Hellman's Mayo? I'm just trying to get Dukes on board here. All right, listen, Dukes, face of Duke's Mayo across the upstate, across the state, across the region, across the nation. Yeah, I'll do it. I'm your guy. I'm your Huckleberry.
All right. If this smells really bad, we go to the mall and try to get guys to, hey, dude, come on. You got to try this. Your lady will love it.
She might.
Just spray it on the wrist.
Especially, listen, if your lady loves a BLT, like if she loves a BLT, she likes throwing a little extra mayo on the BLT. Oh man, how's this not going to work like a dream for you?
Who doesn't love a BLT?
I love BLTs. I love BLTs, right? Stack the bacon, then throw some lettuce and tomato on there.
See,
toast the bread, toast the bun. Don't give me no just plain white.
Yeah. How about like a brioche or something?
Do like a brioche bun.
See, I prefer a belt. So throw an egg on there too.
Oh, I'm not mad at that.
Yeah.
I'm not mad at that.
Nice.
Fried egg on sandwich, underappreciated, underutilized. I've gotten real good at the perfect fried egg. You know what the secret is to a great fried egg? I've never told anybody else this before. Secret to a good fried egg. Nobody does this right. Tell you what to do. You get that pan good and hot. All right. You get that oral good and hot up in the pot. Do not let the whole egg just sit in the oil, because then you're going to get a real crispy underside, but the top, no. What you do is after it's hot and after the egg's cooking, once the bottom of that white settles, tilt the pan towards you so all the oil comes down to the bottom. Take a spoon and baste it. All right, you scoop up the oil at the bottom, you throw it on the top of the egg so that hot oil cooks the top of the egg too, but do not throw it on the yolk. You just throw it on the white. Baste the white around the yolk. Do not throw it on the yolk. After you get it nice and covered up, set it flat, spin that egg so now you can get the spot that was behind the yolk, because you don't want to throw it on the yolk, and you don't want to set it on the white behind the yolk, because then it's going to run down onto the yolk. Set it backwards, spin it so the what was behind the yolk is now in the front. Then baste that area too. Once you get a good base and you see that real brown crispy edge around the outside, bang, it's done. Take it off immediately. There's your secret to the perfect fried egg.
Dude, that sounds like a lot of work.
Do you want the perfect fried egg, or you just want a fried egg?
I make myself an egg every morning, and it's early, so I might stick my hand in the grease. I'm not doing that.
6 quarterbacks drafted in the top 12 selections of this past NFL draft. There's going to be some booms. There's going to be some busts. Let's take a look at all of them. Here is, according to Warren Sharp from Sharp Football. It's a guy that I've actually had on the BetQL network. Pretty good. I actually really enjoy his work. He put together a great one, a list of every quarterback who took snaps in preseason week 1, and he compiled their efficiency ratings. The most efficient, not electric, not over the top, efficient quarterbacks, according to Sharp Football and Warren Sharp. Caleb Williams was the most efficient quarterback in the NFL's preseason week number 1.
Who's he play for?
Bears.
Can I just say bust for every single one? Without,
why would you do that?
Because this like probably the worst quarterback class in history.
That sounds to me like you're just being one of
The haters.
man.
Haters, man.
That you You can't do that. They haven't played a snap of NFL
I
football
absolutely can do that by looking at the college game and seeing how I think it translates into the NFL.
You think the offense at USC was the problem? Because I'm telling you, as a ball knower, they were not. It was not the issue.
I think Chicago made a mistake, and they're going to find out.
What would you have had them do? Oh, I get it. You're mad they got rid of Justin. That's it. You're mad that they bucked a Buckeye.
What? You got mayonnaise on the brain? Why did you not get that?
They got rid of one of the horse chestnuts. Yet another Ohio State quarterback who didn't make it in the NFL.
Colonel Grudge. You name me that.
That's true. I did.
There's a reason why.
I got it now. It's because Lonzo is being one of the haters, man. Caleb Williams' most efficient quarterback, Joey B. Joey M. Joey Burrow, second most efficient quarterback. How about quarterback number 3 most efficient in the NFL in preseason week 1, according to Sharp Football, J.J. McCarthy. Now, before.
How much time? Well, some of them played a little bit more than others.
Yeah.
I mean, what did Joe Burrow get, like a series or 2?
Yeah, I think 2. Let's point out a couple of things. Number one, what this does not include, I mean, it does include it in the rankings, but not in the in laying them out just by numbers. It does include various lengths of play. Some of these guys played a drive or 2. Some of them played a full quarter. It does not include who played with them. Some of these guys had starting wide receivers out there. Some of those guys were working with wide receivers out of the gate that are fringe players trying to make a team. So I think you can read a little into these numbers, but I don't think you can go bananas over them. Like, for instance, the LV Raiders with the number 4 most efficient quarterback this weekend, Gardner Minshew, right? So I think, to me, what jumps off this list is not who's on it and where, except for the rooks. Because even if the rooks are out there for more or less time with the starters, which I think was the case for some of them. And by the way, if I'm an NFL quarterback and my rookie quarterback, especially if I believe, as the Bears do, that I have to play them in week 1, I'm putting the starters out there with them, right? I'm putting the best I got out there with them. I want them to get into a groove. I want them to feel comfortable throwing the football, handing the football off to the guys they're going to be doing it with in the game. I'm putting the best I got out there because goal number 1 to me, we played you that Saban audio last week from episode 1 of the Bears Hard Knocks. I think episode 2 drops tonight. Or did it drop last Tuesday and 3's out tonight? Don't know. Don't matter. They had Saban. And Saban said his theory for the reason that so many top-tier NFL or college football quarterbacks flame out at the next level is confidence. They come in with all these crazy expectations. You are the football messiah. You are the one that is going to lead our NFL franchise out of obscurity and into the promised land. That's your job. That's your role. It's a lot to heap onto a rook. That's a lot to heap onto a dude that is 20, 21 years old. 26 years old if you drafted Michael Penix Jr. That's a lot to heap on a rook. And so, to me, step 1 has always been, what am I doing to bump this guy's confidence up from the get? And the answer, if I'm playing them in preseason football, is I'm putting you out there with the ones. I'm putting you out there with the best I got. I'm putting you out there with the guys that run the best routes, catch the best ball, get the most space, yada, yada, yada. Not a bunch of guys who are, respect to them, trying to fight to make an NFL team. I'm playing the guys that are already on it. I'm playing the guys that already know they're going to be locked in on the week 153 man. Okay? That's how I'm doing it. So it does make a difference. And I think that's part of the reason that Caleb Williams is up top. But let's also point out, if you went back and you watched, not the Hall of Fame game, but week 1 of the preseason for the Bears, you say what you want. Caleb Williams looked good. Caleb Williams looked good. is wrong with you? I love that guy.
Now we're both. I can't play it without playing it till that.
Oh
guy
yeah, no, I
talks.
have to hear the end now.
Yeah.
Just a guy in the back of the room screaming, "What the hell is wrong with you?" So many things. Sound effects guy. So many things. First 2 drives, Caleb Williams looked good. DJ Moore said that he was loud, precise with the calls. Everything was great. Said first 2 drives, it was amazing. He went out there with a bunch of confidence, and he did good, end quote. He was not alone in all of that. Jaden Daniels showed some flash. Now, in fairness, Jaden Daniels handed the ball off a lot, all right? He was kind of a handoff machine.
More than J.J. McCarthy?
Yeah.
Wow.
But I like it. I like it. Again, to me, the preseason strategy for a rookie quarterback that is going to be QB1 in week 1. Caleb Williams is, Jaden Daniels is. Bo Nix, Matt, question mark. He didn't look awful.
Wow, there's some hope for you yet, Cade.
Wait, where is it?
Haters, man. Haters.
Jaden Daniels handed off a lot. Part of the reason why the Commanders came into this game with a number of injuries to the starting offensive line. They wanted to give him some live reps, but not put him in the firing line too often. Played for 1 drive, threw it 3 times. One of those 3 times was a dime to De'Ami Brown. Another time, he ran in for a touchdown. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you all to the Jaden Daniels Show. What you saw out of that cat was a scaled down version of what this dude is going to be. I've said it a number of times. The last quarterback coming out of college football and into the draft that I said, I guarantee that guy is going to be magnificent in the NFL. The last guy I said that about was Lamar Jackson. Not another quarterback since then. I feel that way about Jaden Daniels. This guy is going to be magnificent at the NFL level. And I think you got a little bit of a sense of that in preseason game week number 1. He was dropping dimes. He took it off the outside to get to the end zone. Defense completely ate up his fake and went the other way. This dude is going to be remarkable, and he showed it out of the get. Drake May, 1 series, 3 passing attempts. Jerome Mayo said that was always the plan for him and Jacoby Brissett, each to get 1 look. Here's the problem. Joe Milton came in for the Patriots. Panther fans, if you were watching this, you saw it. Joe Milton ate that thing up with his legs. I think the first pass play he had, drop back right, Carolina read it. They closed down that line. He scattered left, shook a couple of tacklers, took off past the line, and was gone with a capital G. And now there's a little bit of a QB controversy in New England between the rookies because the Patriot fans are going, wait a minute, you're going to leave that on the bench?
Yeah, that's the thing. The crowd came alive when he came out there. They'll cut him. Patriots can't have that kind of charismatic quarterback.
Honestly, I'll tell you right now. There's a couple other quarterbacks that I want to get to. I want to get to Michael Penix Jr., 9 of 16 for $104. I want to get to J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold in Minnesota. I want to get to Jarrett Stidham and Bo Nix. I want to get to Spencer Rattler down in New Orleans because Spence put himself a little 2-minute drive together that won New Orleans the football contest as well. I got more quarterbacks I want to talk about. I don't think there's a guy I want to talk about more than Joe Milton in New England because if Lonzo's right and they decide to move on, not because he can't be QB the future, but because it would be more pressure on Drake May, I'm going to tell you right now, some team might get themselves a winner. They might get themselves an absolute winner.
You're a winner, man. You're the real deal. You're picking up chicks.
Back after this on the Rob Brown Show with the Fan Upstate. Like every one of those teams are destined for the playoffs.
Or none of them. There he is. There's your guy, JJ McCarthy, right there. Look at that. Oh
my guy.
Gosh.
Big JJ McCarthy guy over here. Already. Big JJ McCarthy guy over here. That was a good touchdown pass, though. That was a dime. He threw a couple of dots. All right, guys. Pardon me for 45 seconds. I'll be right back. If I can find my mouse. All right, BRB.
So because I'm very strange, just had a thought. How far back does your hair have to recede before it becomes a mullet?
Well, it's not about the. I mean, it is about the front, but
I know, but if the front disappears,
it would not turn into a mullet. It would turn into a skullet.
Ah, okay.
The skullet's when you got the Hulk Hogan going.
Gotcha.
I like that you pull the hair forward just to make sure.
I'll be 56 next month. My papa, right up the middle, had the, I don't know when that happened to him.
The landing strip.
Yeah, so, I mean. I don't know why you took your brother's comment down after I put it up. I mean, because that was the funniest thing said on the show today. I just want to point that out.
It's a fried egg, Gordon Ramsay. Relax.
Because I could hear it. I've never heard him speak that I recall, but I could still hear it in my head. He may have called into the show before. I can't remember. We've been working together for at least 2 decades. So, I wonder if there is such thing as radio years like dog years. Or maybe it just depends on who you're working with. I worked 75 years with Mark Ryan.
75 years.
75. Did you see him post about the leaves? He's like, it's August. Why are the leaves turning already? And I'm just doing this like, oh, he has no idea what's about to happen. It's pretty on videos. It's not when you have to experience it every day. Schefter just tweeted the Will Levis thing. Look at us. We got ahead of Schefter.
Influencers, man.
Well, the league office wasn't open yet to give him his memos to tell him what to talk about. So that's probably what it was.
Texter said, Cade will do better in the NFL than any recent horse chestnut quarterback.
Really? So he's going to do better than CJ Stroud? he's going to do better. Did you see CJ last year? Did you see that? I don't know. I don't know if you saw CJ Stroud. Maybe.
I think you may.
Before that, I wouldn't have been able to say anybody because the quarterbacks for Ohio State have not done too well.
It's just CJ.
But it's still CJ. So as long as he has another year like last year.
I mean, again, I've said it a number of times. I think the AFC South is going to be a different breed of cat this year. And I mean that literally because of the cats. The Jacksonville Jaguars. You know how I feel about about Jacksonville as a whole. I got a bit of a soft spot for the football team. I do. Because they got to play in that city. I feel bad for the players. Imagine working your whole life to make it to the NFL and you get drafted to Jacksonville.
Yeah, if Urban Meyer had never went there, I don't think you'd feel that. I think he's made you feel sorry for
No,
that.
I've always had a soft spot for Jacksonville, partly, and this was before I lived there and found out that it was the butthole of America. Because it is that. The Jags are a team, and for the record, it's not even really the team, it's the guys on it. The Jags are a team that not only do you have to be in Jacksonville, Florida, which if I asked Floridians to power rank the places in Florida they want to be, Jacksonville's like maybe inside the top 10. Like maybe inside the 10. They got to live in Jacksonville. And play in front of a fan base that, to me, is the definition of apathetic. Now, I understand why. Because since the Mark Brunell days, that team has stunk and has done nothing about it. But I feel bad. I do feel bad for the team a little bit. Same way I felt bad for, like, players on the Commanders. Bum. So the team stinks, and they don't do anything to get better. Now, they might now with Harris on board, but we'll find out. All right. Let's get back to the conversation that we were having going out. We're taking a look at the rookie quarterbacks and what they did back in week 1. We got through a couple of them. We were talking about Joe Milton there for just a minute. Here's what I find really interesting. As I was looking at this yesterday and looking at some of the numbers and projections after the first weekend of NFL preseason football. You know, I enjoy going to different message boards where fans of the teams in question gather just to kind of get a feel for how the fans of every level, from casuals all the way up to my life and mental health, is dictated to me and determined by this football team. And the message boards, you usually get a pretty good sense of where everybody from the casuals to the hardcore gather. And what I found really interesting was for the Patriot fan base, the conversation was entirely centered on Joe Milton. Now, I also, just to lob a grenade onto the kerosene stockpile, I also pointed out to them that you played against the largely third and fourth string of the Carolina Panther defense when Joe Milton was out there. But Joe Milton is also expected to be quarterback 3 on this team. Joe Milton's in a spot where he may not be a New England Patriot unless he just blows away Gerard Mayo and the coaching staff in the preseason. But they have a bit of a problem, I think. And the bit of the problem that they have is they went with Drake May. And Drake May to me Drake May feels like, Zoe, the definition of boomer bust, right? Like, I don't think there's a middle ground where Drake May is like Sam Darnold. Like, he's good enough to stay in the league. He's good enough to float from team to team as a journeyman backup. He's good enough that if QB1 goes down for a week or two, you can plug him in there. You scale back the offense a little bit, and you still got a chance. I think Drake May is either going to be the guy that New England thinks he's going to be, or he's going to be the guy that I think he's going to be. Like, not great. And Gerard Mayo can say all he wants, that the plan was always for Drake May to get one series of plays. But my thought is, if you are rolling a rook out there, even if you are throwing Drake May out there just to give him some live ball, real-time reps, you either throw it more than 3 times or you leave him out there for more than one 11-play series, right? I mean, I'm not a head ball coach. I'm just the guy who knows ball and calls himself coach. But did you see anything? And most of you guys being Carolina fans, well, a lot of you guys being Carolina fans, I know you've spent some time on it. Zoe, did you see anything against Carolina out of Drake May that made you go, yeah, that's a first-round pick?
No.
I didn't either.
It was, but it's, especially since Tom Brady left, this is kind of what they've been doing. I mean, with every quarterback they've had there.
Yeah, I do think there is some level of comparison as the thief of joy in this, right? Like, you're not drafting the next Tom Brady. There is one Tom Brady. You're not drafting the next Patrick Mahomes. There is one Patrick Mahomes. The question is, can you hit on the next whoever? Can you hit on the next guy? And I again, it's only week 1 of preseason. And as was pointed out again on the show, what was it, last week, when we talked a little bit about what to expect out of rookie quarterbacks in the league this year, as we pointed out, Peyton Manning, yep, that one. Peyton Manning set the rookie record for INTs. Sometimes it takes some time for a guy to figure it out. So this is why I've said it's week 1 of the preseason. I am not giving up on any rookie quarterbacks, but what you can do is say, this guy showed, Jaden Daniels showed me a flash. Caleb Williams showed me a flash. Michael Penix Jr. showed me a flash. It wasn't that Penix was electrifying for the Atlanta Falcons. Because frankly, I'm not looking for Michael Penix Jr. to be electrifying. I would be looking for Michael Penix Jr. to be electrifying if Michael Penix Jr. was going to be QB1 coming into the season. If Michael Penix Jr. was going to be the guy under center for ATL, then I would say I'm looking for electrifying because this team has the opportunity to win the division. And to go back to the Patriots for just a minute, it's part of the reason that I'm not super deep into the Drake May v. Joe Milton conversation. I'm not super deep into the Drake May v. Caleb Williams conversation, Joe Milton conversation, because the Patriots have time. The Patriots have time. They don't have any expectations this year. In fact, if they have an expectation this year, it's finish last in that division, right? That's the expectation. You got Buffalo with Josh Allen. You got Miami with Tua Tagovailoa, Tyreek Hill, and the rest in a really good running core. They got like 3 guys who could be starters on most NFL teams. And then you got the Jets, Jets, who are a bettor's favorite to win the AFC East this year.
All right. I'm sitting there holding my shoulder because it's hurting. And the most common cause of shoulder pain just showed up on this feed. Man, leave me alone, government.
Government.
You don't think that's weird?
I think it's coincidental.
Really? Is
Yeah.
it? I've never seen this before.
No, it just wouldn't jump out at you if you've seen it before.
All these quarterbacks are going to be
selective
busts.
recognition.
Every single one of them busts. Some of them will be out of the league in 2 years.
That might be true. Some, not all. Not all. J.J. McCarthy came in one drive after Sam Darnold. Darnold looked solid. McCarthy was 11 of 17 for $188 and a pair of tutties. He started with a pick, but after he threw that pick and he settled in, J.J. McCarthy looked good. Kevin O'Connell said, clearly everyone can see the arm talent, end quote. Here's the thing. For a guy that I absolutely thought is probably going to be a wash, J.J. McCarthy had, honestly, he and Caleb Williams, the best start of any of the rookie quarterbacks. Did we get it wrong about J.J. McCarthy? I don't know. And then there's Stidham versus Bo Nix in Denver. I don't care. That team's going to be trash. That team's going to be trash. Back after this on the Rob Brown Show. We wrap it up next. It's the Fan Upstate.
Shoulder impingement. It accounts for 44% to 65% of shoulder complaints. It is so weird. The Bills have placed Claypool on season-ending IR, which means they have Chase Claypool for the Bills.
You see your boy Smith-Schuster got cut?
Yeah. He'll end up being back in Kansas City probably. It's usually what happens.
Yeah.
Look at McCole Hardman. And then he won the Super Bowl won the Super Bowl with a catch.
Wesley, I've not spent a ton of time in Columbia. I've been there 3 or 4 times, usually with something to do. Here's the thing. Jacksonville, the reason I call it the butthole of America is because, and this is true, I've done the research, it sucks a lot. There's Jack's Beach, which if anybody's ever going to Jacksonville, I tell them, you're not going to Jacksonville, you're going to Jack's Beach. Jack's Beach is fantastic. I actually really like Jack's Beach. If I was going back to Jacksonville, I would live on Jack's Beach or nowhere.
Is that like JAX Beach?
Yes.
Okay.
Jack's Beach is phenomenal. There's great bars. There's great music. There's great food. It is a beach. It is on the beach on the Atlantic. It's a phenomenal spot. The problem is it's about a mile long by 2 blocks deep. Then you go anywhere else in Jacksonville, and it is a combination of strip malls, meth labs, one football stadium, and the most soulless downtown you've ever been to in your life.
All I know about Columbia is every time I go there, I win something. So, I mean, there's that. That would make me like a place.
AP Top 25 dropping yesterday evening. I'm going to come to that in just a second. I just saw this. And I think it's worth a talking point here for just a minute. Just got the updated divisional odds from the NFL from our friends at BetMGM, who, of course, bring you a bet for the cycle every Saturday, noon to 4 on the BetQL network which you can find on the Odyssey app, AUDACY. Make sure you got that on your phone. Heart the Fan Upstate. You can listen to our show and our station anytime you want to. And, of course, on the Odyssey app, grab the BetQL network, and you can listen to Bet for the Cycle every Saturday from noon till 4 with myself and former MLB player Cody Decker. So BetMGM just sent me the divisional odds, and there's some that are kind of interesting to me here. Great one. Let's start in the AFC East, a division that we talked about just a couple of minutes ago. When the AFC East odds opened, the Buffalo Bills were the odds-on favorite at -130. They are now still the odds-on favorite at -165. But
why?
Josh Allen.
It's got to be it. I mean, because okay, and the defense is pretty good, but I mean, all right.
There is another team in the AFC East that has gained a little bit of traction. That other team in the AFC East, great one, is the New York Jets. The Jets opened at plus 280. It was Bills plus 130, Jets plus 280 when this opened. The Jets are now down to plus 180 next to the Bills plus 165. But here's the interesting number. We talked about this. You know, I love what I call a public fade. That is where when X amount of the money comes in, I auto bet the other side. When X percent of the money comes in on one side, I auto bet the other side. I just assume that the public's going to be wrong and I go the other way. 52% of the ticket is coming in on the New York Jets. 80.6% of the money is on the Jets. So the Bills are the betting favorite. 19% of the ticket, 8.5% of the handle. For the Jets, 52% of the tickets, and 80.6% of the money is coming in on the New York Football Jets. The public is all in on the Jets right now, and it makes me very nervous for them.
What, for the public?
For the Jets.
Oh, okay. All right.
Because usually,
I mean, if Aaron Rodgers stays healthy, they've got good receivers. They're a stacked team again. If he stays healthy, who knows?
So it is obviously very possible that this plays out. When Vegas has a line that is set like this, they are taking a massive risk. Because the truth is, if the money and the tickets stay this way, and again, these are odds that were updated as of yesterday. So I expect that you'll start to see the percentage of tickets and percentage of money creep up for Buffalo. By the way, the Dolphins, plus 190, they have dropped to plus 210, but their numbers as far as percentage in tickets, almost identical to the Buffalo Bills. The Patriots opened at plus 20-1. They are now 25-1 to win the division. So their odds have lengthened more than anybody else's in the leagues in the past 2 weeks. When Vegas has a number like this, a number that is generating 52% of the bets when there are 4 options, and a number that is generating 80% of the handle when there are 4 options, usually that means Vegas knows something that we do not. When they allow that much of the money and that much of the ticket to come in on a team, they know something that we don't know. They know something that makes them believe that the Jets are much more likely to not win the division than they are to win the division. And I really want to figure out what that is. I really do. Because, with people, as Lonzo has accused, and I'd be not skeptical enough if I didn't say that my own inherent bias doesn't maybe play a role in this, because I am a person and I am barely fallible, but fallible nonetheless. The Jets getting this much money and this much action, I have said for a while, I think the Jets are going to be better this year. I think the Jets are going to be good this year. By the way, Hassan Reddick, former Carolina Panther, then Philadelphia Eagle, turned New York Jet, who was picked up by the Jets 4 months ago and is yet to practice for the team. Hassan Reddick has demanded a trade. He wants out of New York now. Hassan Reddick was supposed to be if not the centerpiece for the Jet defense, and now he wants out.
Have you seen the Jets' response?
Yeah, they basically said, bleep you, dude. The Jets GM said, yeah, we're not trading him, and we're going to focus in on the guys who actually showed up to practice, to camp. So that's kind of interesting. Jets can't have nice things. Vegas allowing 80+% of the handle to come in on the Jets and not dramatically changing this number before this update came out this morning. It says to me they know something about the Jets. They've got some information on the Jets that we don't have yet. And I would like to dig to find out what that is, because that's a real interesting number. Over in the NFC South, when the odds came out, the Atlanta Falcons were the betting favorites at plus 140 to win this division, Lonzo. There are, as of this morning, 3 teams in the entire NFL who are minus money underdogs, minus money favorites to win their division. Can you guess who they are? 3 teams in the NFL that are minus money favorites to win their division. Who are they? Take a stab at it. One of them's obvious and very easy.
Panthers?
No, to win the division.
Oh, to win. I was thinking the opposite.
Minus money favorites to win the division.
The way you set this up makes me think that I'm still going to go with Atlanta.
Atlanta is one of them.
Okay. And you're talking about all divisions.
Across all 8 divisions, there are 3 of them with a minus money favorite, a clear-cut betting favorite to win the division.
Okay. Thank you for explaining the minus money thing for those. Kansas City Chiefs.
Kansas City is the second. There's one more. Don't overthink it.
I am overthinking it.
You are.
Is it in the NFC?
It is.
San Francisco.
That is correct.
Okay.
Atlanta, Kansas City, and San Francisco are the only 3 teams in the NFL that are minus money favorites, meaning you have to bet more to win less. Again, the quick betting for noobs is if it is plus money, it's like plus 110, that means you are adding money to the money that you win at a bet. So if it's plus 110 and you bet $100, you win 110 back. Minus money means you are taking money away from the money that you bet in the prize that you got. So let's say it's minus 150. That means you have to bet $150 to win $100. That's usually what happens, because it means that is the likeliest outcome. You are betting the likely outcome, so you get less money for making a less courageous bet. Plus money means you are betting on a less likely outcome, so you are rewarded with a larger bet payout if your unlikely bet is what happens. The Atlanta Falcons open at plus 140 to win the division. As of yesterday, great one. The Atlanta Falcons are now minus 120 favorites to win the division, meaning you got to bet $1.20 to win $1 back. 35% of the ticket and 60+% of the handle, the money bet, is coming in on the Atlanta Falcons to win the division. The odds for everybody else, the Carolina Panthers opened at 8-1. They are now 11-1, meaning that after one preseason game, the bettors decided they got zero interest in the massive upset for the Panthers to go worst to first in the NFC South. Something that, by the way, has been relatively common in the NFC South over the past, 15 years? We've had how many worst to first? Didn't we have like a string of 6 years consecutive that a team went worst to first?
Then Tom Brady came and Tampa Bay won every year. Barely, but still won.
Correct. The Atlanta Falcons opened at plus 140, now minus 120, so a lot of money coming in on Atlanta. Carolina opened at 8-1. They are now 11-1, but they do have 29% of the ticket coming in on them, meaning that they're not getting a lot of the money, only 14% of the handle, but they do have a lot of people taking upset tickets on them at 11-1. The New Orleans Saints opened at plus 280. They are now plus 270, or excuse me, plus 375. So their odds have gotten longer. They are also the least bet on team to win the NFC South, as they are getting 12.5% of the tickets and 8.4% of the money. And the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they opened at plus 230. They are now plus 300 to win the division, but they have 23% of the tickets and 16.5% of the money, meaning that right now, what Rob Brown told you 3 months ago is correct. The ATLians are the betting favorite to win this division, which should come at a shock to exactly and precisely no one that listens to this show.
With your boy Kirk.
Kirko! Kirky! Taking Atlanta from not good to good enough to win this dumpster fire of the division.
And now, the Rob Brown Show presents Twitter.
Kirko is less cringy than Kirky.
Kirko!
Kirky is just cringe. I believe that's what the kids say.
By the way, you guys went from plus 750 to plus 550 to win the Super Bowl. So the money coming in heavy on the Chefs. The Texans had the second biggest move from plus 2,500 to plus 1,600, and the Pack from plus 2,500 to plus 1,600.
Texans with an Ohio State quarterback. Take that, Texter. All right, the first thing that's Xing is Hooters.
Hooters is trending. Hooters is trending. I know Hooters has closed a lot of restaurants lately, but I'm going to say they're trending because a photo went viral of some celebrity at a Hooters yesterday.
All right, so I don't know why, but if you click on Hooters, guess what you get?
Hooters girls.
Yeah, so
Obviously.
so that's all I saw.
What else would you
so
get?
Maybe
And why else would you get it?
Maybe it's just trending for that reason.
Oh, maybe it was $1.5 million worth of stolen wings lady. We found out that she was operating her own Hooters in her basement.
Yeah, maybe it was her. Could be. All right, the next thing that's Xing is Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill is trending because Tyreek Hill said yesterday that he believes that he could take on Olympic gold medalist and fastest man on the planet, Noah Lyles. Said he believes he could beat him in a 100-meter race. And I am going to say that I love this. And I love this not because it's true. It's not. I love this because for the first time in his life, Tyreek Hill is learning what all the rest of us feel like when we tell our buddy, I could still dunk. No, you can't, Greg. Stop.
Well, look, as always, when they come up with these things, we can make the race happen. I would like Xavier Worthy to be in there too.
You would like Xavier Worthy to be in there.
In the race.
The rookie.
Yes. In a race. It's a race. The fastest guy ever at the NFL Combine, that guy?
Yeah, big difference between, and Tyreek would learn this too, big difference between route running speed, 40 speed, and 100-meter dash speed.
A lot of these guys have track backgrounds, though. They know how to get their feet in the blocks. They know how to do that sort of thing. So I don't think you can immediately go, yeah, that football player has never been on track, because a lot of guys do stuff all year round.
100 meters, by the way, 109.361 yards. So you are running from one goal line out of the end zone on the other side effectively.
Yeah. That's a
long way.
We need to research and find out if Tyreek Hill has ever run track, because it wouldn't shock me if he has.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So
a lot of the fastest guys in the league ordinarily,
right.
You're right, have a track background.
That's what I'm saying. So it's not out of the realm of possibility that he would understand the technique and be able to compete in that venue.
Let's see. A native of Douglas, Georgia, Tyreek Hill attended Coffee High School, where he won both the 100-meter and 200 meters at the 2012 Georgia 5A state meet. On May 6th, Hill ran a season best in the 100-meter at 10.19 seconds. Noah Lyles' 100-meter time was 9.79. So Noah Lyles at 27 outran Tyreek Hill at 17, 18-ish by almost a full half a second, which in track time is forever.
That is true. Still want to see it because, nerves may come into play.
How old is Tyreek Hill now?
I also just want to see how much faster he is than Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek's 30 now.
And also maybe Tyreek will quit throwing out these challenges after he got his butt handed to him. But you never know. All right. The last thing that is Xing is Mark Henry.
I believe in Mark Henry. Friend of the show, Mark Henry, the world's strongest man at one point, is trending because he did a podcast and announced that his favorite radio interview ever was on the Rob Brown Show.
He didn't even have to do that. We could tell the joy when he was here. He showed up at Raw last night with his son. His son is about to, or has already signed with WWE.
Was he wearing a salmon-colored suit?
He was not.
Oh, that's too bad.
It's because it's not about him. It's about his boy.
If he was wearing a salmon-colored suit, I would have been scared for everyone else.
Someone going to get the butt kicked. Yeah.
Somebody about to get their wig split. Hey, that's it for us, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't, sucks to be you. Come back tomorrow. We're going to try again, but do better. For the great one, Lonzo, my name is Rob Brown. Don't drink and drive. I'll punch you in the face. Have a lovely rest of your Tuesday. We'll see you back here to do it all over again on the Rob Brown Show in the Fan Upstate later.
I really don't give a
I don't know. Skies are clear. There's a chance those guys could show up.
That's true.
Plus, I've already been given permission, so I should just go home. It's not like I'm not. I still worked till after 1 yesterday. Curse you, technology. And I do agree, even though the setup's not the same, you can get a little bit more done at home because unfortunately I'm popular. And
it is the worst, isn't it?
And everybody wants to talk to me. And I'm like, listen, I have even less time now to get my work done. But I have to talk to them because that would be rude to not do that.
It would be. It would be. I believe in Joe Hendry.
I don't exactly get a lot of social interaction, so, you know.
London and Paris and Tokyo, America, Scotland and Canada and Mexico. I believe in. Okay, I gotta go. I'm getting carried away. Thanks for being here. You're all spectacular people. We love and appreciate you. Please tell your friends about us and help us grow the show. Share us on your social media. Be excellent to each other. Have a great day. Goodbye.